Up looking in the mirror, it gets no clearer. Cause we don't understand our own selves, drowning in sorrow with empty Hennessy bottles upon the shelf. Cause everybody wanna be a king, selling out their soul for this mean green cream thing. Paper chasing but not facing the facts that as a nation we all done got lax, and letting the devil control us. And thinking like them damn Africans that sold us. We in captivity because they hold us. Working hard with heavy burdens on our shoulders. Man, I thought we was some soldiers, but every second that I look, we getting creamed like Folgers. You see, the Lord done told us. So to me, there's no surprise on why they fold us. It's not cause our skin is dark and they don't know us. It's cause we stuck on that crack and that doja. Allow our brains to be polluted, now they mold us. Don't hate on me, hate on them dirty fools that stole us. You'd rather be dunking with Jordan on some posters other than smashing these devils like you.
I remember there was a time when we was kings and queens.
Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge. We're here at 8524 South Braesville Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77071. Class on Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 10 p.m., Friday from 6 to 9 p.m., and then we have Saturday class from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in the New Mexico area, you can go to 501 Copper Avenue Northwest in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87102. I can give me a little more sound on that. And then if you're in San Antonio, we're at 4219 Centergate Street, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. All right, and don't forget kids class. We do kids class every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon, and that's on ISB HPK Kids. All right, so you can have a good little interactive learning experience for your children if you get them involved on that ISB HPK Kids channel. All right, like, share, and subscribe for that channel also. That helps out. If you got any questions or comments during the course of the class, you can hit me up. I'm at 832-941-2443. Please text only during the course of the class. And then if you have questions or comments in between classes, you can hit up either me or Priest Kazakia. Priest Kazakia is at 281-707-2737. And all that should be coming up on the screen right there. And also you can hit us up. Some people aren't comfortable with the phone calls and stuff like that. You can text any of those numbers, but also you can hit us up on our email address, and that's hiddentruth@gmail.com. And that's also good for if you have any correspondence that you need sent to you. We can get that sent back out to you, like flyers and things like that. And also, if you want to get us, involved in something in your area, it's good to correspond with us over that email. Any donations you have to give, they're all welcome. Canned goods, clothes, cars, laptops, computers, any kind of teaching utensils, any kind of office supplies, anything like that that's good for the educational process of your people, and also that's going to help with anything we can do for the homeless. That's all welcome. We'll take that. We're here. You can send that to either of the school addresses, or you can if you have money that you want to give, you can give that to the Wells Fargo account. It's account number 101-580-6167. All right. So again, that's account number 101-580-6167. That's at your Wells Fargo under Israelite School of Biblical History. All right. If you want any garments made for you, the sisters are doing a beautiful job. A couple brothers have been getting their garments garment orders fulfilled already. All you have to do is go to our Israelwear Facebook page. That's Israel, W-E-A-R, Israelwear, and that's on Facebook. And we'll go ahead and have the sisters make you some beautiful custom-made garments, armbands, headbands, or girdles. And that's all made to order. Or if you want something standard, you can pick it out from the Facebook page. There's kind of a little catalog as you go through the pictures and everything. So you can pick something out if you're not very imaginative. I got the same problem. So, you just pick something out that's already made. Again, any questions, and we'll go ahead and take those right now. First hour of class, we're going to have those for questions, all right? Y'all got any questions in class? Lie. What you got, sis?
For Luke chapter 6, 27 and 8.
Luke chapter 6.
27 and 28.
Okay, Luke chapter 6, verse 27 and 28. Let's get that. Okay, go ahead and read that.
Luke chapter 6, verse 26, 27 and 28. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you.
Okay.
I was just trying to grow a strong love for people, and I feel like right now I'm going to like petty test. I'm not going to nothing that's like extreme. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I just want to know what to do. Like if it do get extreme and somebody's just going to be like completely rude, like how do I apply these scriptures and not forget? But you can easily say, yeah, I'm not going to sit up here and 10 piece and 2 biscuit this person for talking to me crazy, but at the same time, I'm like, how do you do that all the time when people trying all the time on a major level, not just like, oh, your family, they wasting food or something like that, like somebody just did completely ugly to you.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
Like a random person just come out of nowhere and just push you, like you don't even know them, and you like want to beat them up so bad in your mind and your head, like you just want to fight them, but you know you're supposed to express love, type of thing. But even though I'm not beating this person up 9 times out of 10, I'm beating this person up in my head, so it's like I'm not applying the scripture still because mentally I'm still fighting this person.
Yeah, I mean, Christ he didn't call us to be no pushovers at the same time. So, random person just walk up and push you. You got to find out what their problem is. You know what I mean? Like, what did I do something to you? Do I know you? You understand? That communication, like we said before about, in that class about communicating with demons and stuff like that. You want to start that off with that communication. What do I know you? Because you just pushed me. What's the problem? You see that? So you want to find out the source, and there's nothing wrong with communication. It doesn't have to come with an attitude. It doesn't gotta come with who the hell you think you are and all that stuff like that. Just simple communication. You know what I mean? That's where it should always start. That's how it should always start. When you're reading the scripture, he wasn't telling you to do this for your enemies that are like other nations and all this stuff. He was talking about between like-minded people, because he knew again that problems was going to arise between Israelites. You understand? Between people that that you live with and work with and strive in the spirit with, there was going to come arguments and doubts and confusions and things like that. And people was going to become what would be considered enemies. You was going to have rivals, people that were going to be arguing against you, stuff like that. You understand? Or might not think exactly the way you think. So he gave us these scriptures right here to show us that if these things happen, we should love our enemies. We should show that love to those fellow Israelites, to those people that we've been working with, we've been striving with, we've been trying to help and have been trying to help us, but at that current time they happen to be in an adverse position to you. You understand? So at that, for these people, you're going to show that love because you can patch that situation together and still remain friends. You see that? But again, you're on the bus, somebody just walk up and push you. No, that's just being a doormat. Christ didn't call us for that. You understand? You get in an argument with somebody that you don't, they don't even know you and they just want to start talking best. Stand your ground. You understand? There's a time and a place when you read Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There's a time and a place for everything. All right, and there's really never a time for anybody to just be a pushover. At the same time, you don't want to get shot. You got to use wisdom, right? So you don't want to just get shot in the face over something that could have been resolved real easily by simply conversating, right? So that's where you go into Matthew 18 verse 15, and you find out, if somebody if somebody has a problem with you, or you got a problem with somebody else, you talk to them between you and that person. If you can't work it out with them, you get you a witness. If you can't work it out between you, a witness, and that person, then you bring them before the congregation, or you bring them before the proper authorities. If it's somebody in the world, okay, well, I try to work this out with you. I try to settle this calmly. You want to just walk up and push me? That's assault. You know what I mean? You got to take it to that legal matter, like at least with the threat of legal matter. So they know, okay, you're not just somebody that wants to get pushed around. You see that? But yeah, you don't want to just be a pushover. All right. What's that?
Kind of tagging along to her. So when would be a good time to use the one he used them for us in 1 Thessalonians when he's saying it's a righteous thing with y'all to repent them that tribulation to them that trouble.
Right. That's where we're going. Is I wanted to give that little intro for it and everything like that to show. There's things we're gonna do. There's ways we're gonna do to deal with this and handle it. One of them is knowing the season, the time for every purpose. All right. So we got that Ecclesiastes 3, right? Where you find to everything there's a season, a time to every purpose under heaven, right? But then when you go to the book of Romans, you're gonna find out that there's ways to deal with your enemies, even in the nation of Israel or outside of the nation. All right. Let me get that real quick. So we're going to Romans chapter 12, and we'll read verse 20. Actually, you know what? We're going to start at 19.
Romans chapter 12 verse 19.
Hold on, we can go up a little higher than that.
Okay, start at 15.
Start at 17.
17. Romans chapter 12 verse 17. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved.
Right, so he's saying, as much as lieth in you, that you should live peaceably with all men. All right, so if you can avoid a full-on fight, a full-on guns got to be drawn and calling the cops and all that, if you can avoid that by just simple conversation, as much as lies in you, be at peace with all men, right? Some people bump into you they bumping you on the street or something like that, or in a grocery store or something. It don't gotta be where you turn around and just instantly shove them back, right? Or you instantly turn around and start threatening, or instantly start cussing them out. It could just be, excuse me, and then they might turn around, oh no, excuse me, my fault. Right? That's usually how a lot of that gets solved. Or it might be, oh, excuse me. Then you turn around, well, you should watch where you're going. You're like, well, actually, you bumped into me. You know what I mean? Talking. That conversation will do it. Right? It'll mellow things down. Using your brain, using that wisdom. It'll mellow things down. But if you react first off emotion, then you're gonna have a problem. Right? You're gonna have a bigger issue. So watch, read that again.
Verse 18. Romans chapter 12, verse 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you,
right,
live peaceably with all men.
See, so as much as you can possibly do it, be at peace with all men. Alright? Now if it comes down to it, what it's showing you is if it's not possible at the time, right? If they're already swinging at you, then obviously at that point it's not possible. There's Okay, we're not talking right now. I'm dodging punches, so
Right.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and settle this. You see that?
Con.
But at the point where you're still in the conversational mode, at the point where emotions haven't run unchecked and you haven't nobody's flown into a rage or nothing like that, you can still talk. You understand?
Con.
But read on.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, said the Lord.
Right. So he said, read it one more time.
Romans chapter 12, verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves.
All right. He said, avenge not yourselves. You don't always have to try to fight for your own dignity and your so-called self-respect and all that stuff. You don't always gotta fight somebody to maintain that. You see that? You ain't always gotta put your fist up in order for somebody to respect you. Some people respect you more. Well, any wise person will respect you more when you use your brains first before your emotions. See that? Any person will respect you when you're able to keep your own self in check. You're able to keep your own emotions in check and deal with things according to wisdom. That's where the respect comes from. You see that? So, as much as lies in you, be a peaceful old man, and you don't always have to try to avenge yourself. You don't always have to make sure that somebody pays for wronging you. That comes from pride. You understand? Read on.
But rather give place unto wrath.
See, give place unto wrath. Let things cool down a little bit. You understand? It doesn't have to be a fight right off the bat. All right, let things cool down. Give place to wrath. Give it a place away from you. All right? Because it wasn't made for us to settle situations, not for a wise person to settle situations according to wrath and anger. All right? Go ahead.
For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, said the Lord.
See, a lot of situations, the Most High will actually repay that. If they intentionally meant to wrong you, or if they intentionally got something against you, and you ain't did them no wrong, Most High will repay that. You understand? He know how to look out for what's his. Go ahead.
Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him.
See, what are you supposed to do if your enemy hungers?
Feed him.
Okay, so this goes against our first nature, right? This always goes against our first nature because we want to. Nah, man, I gotta get. Nah, that nigga gonna respect me, right? So this goes against our first nature. Wait a minute, if he's thirsty, give him something to drink. What are you talking about? I hate that nigga, right? Go ahead.
If he thirsts, give him drink.
Right. If he's hungry, give him something to eat. Are you serious? That's my enemy. Right? What happened to eye for eye, tooth for a tooth? Well, you read that wrong. You heard that, but you ain't read that. You understand? This is what the scriptures was telling you. If your enemy hungry, you give him something to eat. If they thirst, you give them something to drink. Why? Read on.
For so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head.
See that? Because that's the worst way to pay somebody back. To show them they can't hurt you. That bruises the ego. Right? That gets them. Like, they meant to do you some kind of harm, or they meant to at least piss you off. But you just, oh, hey, you all right? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? They bump into you. They push you. Hey, you okay? Because I ain't have no problem with you. You got a problem with me? Do I know you? Right? Hey, listen, you need something? Let me get you a coffee or something. You all right? You need to calm down. You understand? Like, situations like that, they don't know you. They ain't got nothing to do with you. If your enemy hungers, give them something to eat. If they thirst, give them to drink. Whenever you find an opportunity where you can do good for them, do good for them, is what it's showing me. Why? Because that's going to hit them, because they understand now that, dang, that little petty stuff I tried to do to them, it didn't even affect them. You see that? And all they doing is doing good for you. That's their only intention in life is to do good by people. So I just did wickedly to somebody that's trying to do good for people. You see that? Like I said, we got that example when we were on the street corner teaching way back downtown. The dude came up, he was bloody, bleeding out his nose, and these dudes had beat him up. These cats from another camp up the street had beat him up. They rolled him up, and then he came to ours thinking they must have knocked him out or beat him up so hard he thought we was the same camp because we was dressed a whole different way, a block down. And he come over there, hey man, y'all just gonna be hitting me, y'all hit me, Esau, right? And he's all in my face, and I'm like, hold on, man. The brothers are still up there teaching. I said, hold on, man, hold on. I said, you all right? No, man, y'all hit me, y'all beat me up, I said, hey, I told the other brother, I said, hey, get him a chair real quick, let me sit down. I said, get him some water, man, he messed up, right? So they sat him down. He sat down. I just went ahead and sat down while he was still yelling. Just sat there looking at him. And he sat down there. He took the water. I was like, well, I said, you saying we beat you up? I said, because we just been teaching. He's like, no, man, y'all punched me, y'all did this. I said, you sure it was us, man? Because there's another group right up the block behind me. He looked behind me, he seen there was another group. He's like, oh yeah, it was them. See, now I could have went all super Israelite on him, right? Old school. You get in my face. You look threatening. I push you back at arm's distance, right? But the scripture told me to examine the matter first before I rebuke. He ain't swung at me. He ain't did nothing threatening to me. He just talking, right? He's in his feelings. So you got to take him out of their feelings. And that's, for me, one of the proudest moments of my life because I grew up with anger issues, man. I was the first one. You know what I'm saying? I was the first one. You getting emotional and a little fleck of the spit from your mouth get near me and I'm already punching you in the face. Right? I'm already ready to choke you out. But, that showed, for me it showed a lot of improvement. Why? Because this is what the scriptures would have me do. And it actually worked out the whole situation. It was like, I said, brother, listen, you see it clearly wasn't us. I said, I gave you a seat, got you some water, so it must not have been us. Who does that in the middle of a fight? Right. He was like, yeah, it must have been them other guys, man, I'm sorry. It's like, had him apologizing. That took like 2 minutes. It didn't have to be no confrontation. I gotta punch you, fight you, none of that. You understand? It wasn't none of that. Why? Because the scriptures, applying the scriptures, it works. You see that? So it calmed the whole situation down. And this is what the Most High told us to do for our enemies. So when you're reading Luke 6 verse 28, 27 and 28, love your enemies. How? Show love. What are the things? See, people think love your enemies means get all mushy with them and, hey, are you okay? How you doing, brother? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean throw your arm around him and you gotta love it. No, there's other ways to show love. You understand? If he hungers, give him something to eat. If he thirsts, give him something to drink. Why? Because that's the worst kind of revenge for an enemy. For a person that meant to do you wrong, to see that you just only got good intentions toward everybody, damn, that hurts them in their spirit. You see that? So these are things you gotta understand, and this comes from living life. A lot of this, what I'm showing you is my personal experiences. Why? Because it's personal experiences applying scriptures like this. All right, applying love your enemies, things like that. I'm in jail, in the tanks. We've been in there, damn it, 4 or 5 hours. And the tanks in jail is cold. They don't provide heat in there. You know what I mean? And one brother, the big yoke brother, man, just all muscle. And they brought this dude in, and he didn't have no shirt on. And he in there, getting mad, banging on the door like, hey, y'all gonna give me my shirt? Y'all gonna give me my shirt back? And da-da-da. And I'm looking at this dude, he's stomping around, and everybody else looking like, I hope this dude don't snap on me. Right? They worried about he gonna take their Duffy and everything already. And we just in the holding tank. And he just back and forth pacing and looking threatening and everything, look like he ready to snap on anybody that get near him. And I'm like, hey man, you know, I went and took my shirt off. I had a nice shirt on too. It was like an $80 shirt. I took that off. I went to hand it to him. I said, listen, bro, I'd rather you take my shirt than you sit over here trying to beg the white man, beg Esau for him to have mercy on you, because he ain't gonna do that. I told him that in the tape. This dude, his pride was all like, you know, Judah. His pride, like, no man, I'm good, right? I said, well, listen, I'm gonna leave it right here, because the Most High had me. I was like feeling warm, and I'm always cold everywhere. But in the tank, I had this like warm feeling all over me. Felt like somebody just threw a blanket on me. I was cool. You know, even with my shirt off, I'm sitting in there, you know what I mean? And he kept looking, you know, he kept trying to bang on the door for another 5 minutes. Then he looked back and see the shirt on the thing. He like, all right. I put the shirt on. Calmed him right down. Thanks, man. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, bro. I said, I'd rather see you wear my stuff than beg them for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It calmed his ass down for the whole rest of the thing. Everybody in the tank was like, damn, okay. Y'all see that? Why? Because before a person even got to turn into an enemy, you understand? You can turn that whole situation better by doing good. You understand? So, you know, if it's somebody, again, that's absolutely adverse to you in every way, like, nah, you ain't gonna do right by me. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't having it. You know you got those, or they just determined to be your enemy, then you don't have to be around them. You understand? I mean, is that the situation? You have the option of being able to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna kick it with you no more. You don't respect me. You're always acting pissed off at me. You're always acting adverse to me. So I'm not gonna hang around you no more. Do you have that option?
Yeah, I do have that option. I was just trying to prepare myself when that happens. Like right now, I was kind of praying like to have strong love for people and not always just take it personal and just mentally be like, you know what, I automatically cut people off as soon as you say something stupid to me, or like how you talking to me, I cut you off, and I'm like,
right.
That's not right. I'm not here for myself. I can't love people the way I want to love them because it's limited. I gotta love people the way God wanted me to love them. So I'm trying to get to that level.
Yeah, and that's exactly where this scripture kicks in. You know, it's people you want to show love to. You would rather be friends with them or at least be cool with them, but they just determined to be adversaries. Okay, well, you know what? Amos 3:3. Right? Can two walk together unless they be agreed? Well, I can't roll with you. We can't function. Things can't happen with you around. I can't make any kind of progress. All you do is argue, complain, get bitter, want to fight. There's no point in being around you. So if you have the option, don't be around them. You understand? Before it got to turn into Smokey standing over him, you got knocked right? You gotta turn into that. All right.
God.
There's a question online that's kind of goes along with what we're talking about now.
All right. So what's the question on that one?
Do I take loss continually where you live or work with people you cannot separate yourself from? And how do you correctly apply Proverbs 11, 24, and 25?
Proverbs 11, verse 24 and 25.
Yes, sir.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24.
All right, so we'll hold that. So the first part of the question is, okay, you can't separate yourself from them. How do you deal with that situation? Well, go to Matthew 18, verse 15. Because, this ain't just between church members and, people like that, you come to class with or something like that. This can be used and applied even in the world. Get Matthew 18 and 15.
Come, Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall, Matthew chapter 18, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee,
Right?
go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
Right. So that's the first step. I want to go and I'm going to express that there's a fault between me and you. You're rubbing me the wrong way, bro. Every time I come in, this is going on. Or every time I come in, I'm ready to work and you ready to sit around and talk. Or every time I'm working, you coming in distracted, or you trying to take away some material I need to work, or whatever you doing at work, right? Okay, you know, there's all those situations, right? I go to the water cooler, you run into the water cooler. Who the hell's gonna do the work at the station when we both leave? You know what I mean? Like every time I'm trying to do something, you got something to say, or you doing this, you doing that. So you're gonna have to tell that person their fault, because a lot of times people don't know that they doing you wrong. You understand? Some people just oblivious to how much of an a-hole they are. They just don't get it. They don't understand. You know, even when you tell them, they're like, well, how's that a problem? You like, you don't get why it's a problem if every time you come in here you stomp on my foot. You know what I mean? Like they don't get certain things. They don't have certain morals and a certain code about themselves. All right?
Okay.
So read that.
Verse 15 from the top. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But
so if he'll hear you, you gained your brother. If that person hears you and hey, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do you wrong like that. Well, hey, you just gained a new work employee friend, right? You just gained somebody new that's on your side if anything should happen or somebody should accuse you of something, right? That's why I said it's not just about, we know that it's primarily talking about how you deal with Israelites, right? But if you expand any wisdom that you're giving of the scriptures and expand that into all aspects of your life, then you're not gonna have problems in just about any aspect of your life. You're gonna be able to quench certain situations before they turn into something bigger. All right, Jeremiah, give me Matthew 10 verse 16. But read where you're at. Huh?
Verse 16. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more.
See, if they won't hear you then, if they won't hear you at work and you're trying to settle the situation calmly and cool, okay, well, you know what? You ain't hearing me, man, so I just got to fight you. We got to take this outside. Nah, it says go get you a couple more witnesses and be like, listen, we're trying to work something out, man. Maybe you can tell us who's right and who's wrong in this situation, because I don't think we should have to, like, fight over this. That's crazy. We grown adult people. You see that? I don't think it should turn into us having to argue every day or hate each other. What do you think? This is what this person's doing. This is what I did. And what do you think is right? You see that? You judge between what's going on. But there's some people that just won't hear all that. So what's the next level? Read on.
Verse that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established.
See, so that way you have witnesses and everything can be established that, hey, this is what's going on right here. You see that?
God.
Okay, read on.
Verse 17. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man.
See that? So if he don't want to hear you and the witnesses, then okay, you know what? We got to take this to the boss. We got to have a office meeting. You see that?
Got it.
Because this is going too far. This is ridiculous. Both the witnesses told you that you was wrong, and you still want to keep pushing this point. You still want to keep acting like you ain't did nothing wrong, or you still want to keep doing me wrong. So now we got to go take this to a meeting. All right? And I'm going to get your question in a second. Y'all see that?
Right.
So we got to understand there's levels to all of this. All right?
Okay.
Okay, so so if he doesn't want to hear you, he don't want to hear the witnesses, then you got to take it before a congregation. You got to take it to a meeting. You got to take it to the next level. All right? But if he won't hear none of that, then you know what? You got to go to your boss and be like, hey, I need to be moved. Because we took it to this level. We took it up. There's usually not any circumstance where a business meeting ain't going to cure that. Because usually a boss will step in and be like, okay, y'all already tried it this way, and you tried it this way, and this dude still want to act like that? Well, if you keep acting like that, you're going to get written up. You're going to get fired. And that'll usually calm the situation when it got to go to the boss level, right? But hey, you know what? If he still won't hear you, let the boss know, well, listen, if y'all ain't going to fire him or if you ain't going to move him, then move me. I'll deal with a different department because I'm trying to settle this in a way that doesn't get the cops involved, that doesn't involve ointment and Band-Aids. You know what I mean? But they don't want to let this die, so I gotta move. You understand? So this is how you handle situations. The scriptures can be applied at all levels of your life. All right? Dabashaya.
My question is more of like, I guess the brother question is more of like work related, because I mean some of the issues that you are talking about, they're happening at my job. I have an employee that she doesn't want to work, and the manager actually knows that. Well, the boss or the person that's over us actually knows that, and he'll go and tell the person that he's been working with longer than he has worked with us, and she'll come and say, y'all need to work, or y'all need or something. But he won't confront the person that's actually doing it. He's more of, I would say, or I guess you would say on the cool side with her, and more with me, it's more of like, okay, you know, if you don't do this, I'm gonna send you home, or something like that. It's more basically using my job as like, okay, I know you need it, but if you don't do this, I can send you home. But it's okay for her to do it. It's okay for the other person, a newer person. I've been at the company 3 years. She's been in there less than 1. It's okay for her to do this stuff, but if I say something, it's a problem. So what are you supposed to do then?
Again, have you been to that person directly?
I'm not gonna go to the person directly. The manager see this stuff happening. The stuff is happening in front of him. So what am I supposed to do if it's happening in front of him? And the store manager sees it's, I would say, I guess you would say throwing slugs or basically being sarcastic about it, but he's actually serious, so he's not actually coming direct. So what are you supposed to do? Go to corporate?
You ask to be transferred, yeah. You go above them. You be like, okay, well, I tried to deal with this with the manager. They think it's funny. They want to let this other person do the same things they're reprimanding me for. So I need to move. Or they need to. Either I need to move, they need to, or I'll move on. Those are your options. You see that? It can all be talked out. Read that Matthew 10:16.
Matthew chapter 10 verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
See, he's telling you, be wise as serpents, and you got to be harmless as doves. All right? So when he's saying that, he's saying you got to be just as crafty and sneaky as they are, because they already know what they're trying to do, right? They trying to get you in a situation where you're going to get fired. That's how them spirits are working. You're not dealing with that individual. You're dealing with a spirit on them individuals. All right? So you're going to have to be just as wise, knowing that they're trying to cause you some kind of harm, whether financially or physically. And what you're going to have to do is, being harmless as a dove, I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to just go around you. I'm going to be just as crafty as you will be. I'm going to document it with the higher-ups and let them know that, hey, I already came to you with this complaint. Then I'm going to come to you with it again. And after a certain amount of times of coming to you, these things have been logged and nobody's doing nothing about it. Okay, well then I gotta go somewhere else. You understand? I gotta go another route. I might have to put a lawsuit on y'all. I might have to do this. I might have to do that, because everything's documented. I already came at you with this. You see that? So there's ways around these things, or again, just be asked to transfer. What's that?
Okay, I guess I don't know exactly how to put it. Like, say, what if you say that I did get transferred from, I came from a different store to this one to be closer to home. So from going from the store that I'm at to be closer to home, there's also some benefits. More benefits, say like I'm off on, say I get Saturdays off or something like that. I mean, whatever you, or like you make your own schedule. We make our own schedule, so all that would change. I'm just trying to figure out.
You work you out a different schedule. Like I said, there's ways around it. You just gotta either fix your schedule accordingly to be away from them, or you transfer stores. Transfer back, go to a different store, get a better job. You understand? But make sure the situations have been documented. Make sure that every little instance of you having to go to that person, make sure you got that written down. Hey, at this time, at this date, I went and came to them, they said this didn't get resolved. Okay, at this certain time and this certain date, I went to the manager and told him and gave him my grievances, and at this time and this date, it still isn't resolved. Right? Then you go above them, you deal with them. If it doesn't get resolved with that, leave. or else it's just going to turn into something that you can't take back. You understand? It's going to turn into where you get nuts and go crazy, and then next thing you know, you're going into cons with an AK-47 blasting on people. Right? And that's clearly not an option for no Israelite woman or man, right? Okay. What's that? Yeah, Jana?
Yes, my question, okay, supposedly, say if you do go to the manager, because I'm saying all this because this, you could say I brought up an instance, and then it goes to the person, oh yeah, Erica said that, you're doing this, or she has a problem with you. So what are you supposed to do in a situation like that? You go and talk to the manager, and he wants to be, I guess you would say, start something.
Did you tell that person first?
I mean, no, I'm gonna go and tell the manager because
that's why we read Matthew 18:15. You got to go to that person first. That way, when the manager comes at them and is trying to put you on blast, like, yeah, if he's trying to start something or whatever, and he like, yeah, she said you did this and this and that, because he want to see some drama. Oh, yeah, I already know. She came to me with that. You see that? Yeah, she told me. That kills all that. Now he doesn't get nothing started. But it does start something when you haven't gone to that person directly. You understand? Because now she just going around my back, going right to the manager. Okay, I got something for you. You see that? Then the manager gets what he wants. If he's being childish like that, he's gonna get that contention that he wanted. See that? But if you apply those steps, just like we just read in Matthew 18, then it's foolproof. That's why I can't nobody tell me the scriptures ain't true. Oh yeah, you in that New Testament. Well, it works. I used it. You understand? If you go directly to that person, you ain't got no problem with somebody else trying to start mess. All the other things you can think of, scenarios you can think of, can't penetrate this. It's a flawless defense. Because you done covered your butt and you covered all the other angles. So can't nobody get in and, oh, well, you didn't do this right. I did everything right. I went to that person. I went to the higher up. We got witnesses. Okay, now I went to the higher up above the higher up because the higher up thought it was funny. You see that? I've gone to each individual with my grievance separately. They didn't want to do nothing about it. Now it's got to go to somewhere higher. You see? Okay, well, you know what? Then, you know what? Since it ain't going to resolve, then I don't feel like moving. It's going to be too much of an inconvenience to move, change jobs, start all over, whatever. So, you know what? We'll just get a lawyer involved. You know, you're working for a big warehouse. It's easy to make money off them. Lawyers love that. They love when you getting harassed or whatever. You know what I mean? You claim whatever kind of harassment you want to. All that you got to do is document it. Yeah, on this time, this date, I did this. They check the store cameras. They see you talking to the person all gentle and nice and everything. See, that's when I did it. At this time, this date, I went to this person. Store camera said, yeah, you did. Right? They supposed to log all that stuff. So, like I said, if it got to go into all that. But going to that person individually is usually as flawless as you can get. It usually doesn't have to go no higher. All right? Especially in the world. Once the world know that you probably, well, you know what? I'm just going to have to get my lawyer involved. You know what? Screw it. As soon as you turn that well, you know what? It don't got to be all that. Because nobody want to get hit in their pockets. Y'all see that? So these are ways around it. Being wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And then the brother had the question of how do you correctly apply Proverbs 11 verse 24 and 25?
God. Proverbs 11 chapter 24. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24.
Y'all got it?
Got it.
All right.
Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24. There is that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself.
Okay, so read that again from the top, and we'll break it down.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24. There is that scattereth, and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. The liberal.
Right, so there is one that scattereth and yet increaseth. So what does he do? He gets his goods and hey, you need something? Oh, look, I got you. Hey, I got shirts. Yeah, here, you take those. Hey, yeah, whatever you need, man. Look, just come ask me. I got you. Right?
Got it.
And he increases. Why? Because the Most High is watching that person give and do good with their goods, so he increases them in goods and in wealth. Then those people, right? Like I was watching this one. It was like a Vietnamese one, right? Commercial. It was about like doing good for others, kind of pay it forward type stuff. But the dude is, it's a little dude, and he's getting smacked by this bigger dude for, you try to steal this from me and this and that. And all it was a little bag of soup and some and something else. And some medicine that he was trying to feed somebody with or bring home to his family. And the dude that works at the little fry thing, he fries up noodles or whatever for people, soup or something like that. He goes to the guy and he pulls some money out and he pays for the thing, right? For the little kid. Well, they do the whole thing, time goes by, and the kid just looks at him and snatches his stuff and runs off. But time goes by and the dude that, was the cook for the little restaurant, he's in the hospital, he's dying. And his daughter, she's getting a little bill for all his medical stuff, and it's this huge amount of money, and she's just sitting there crying like, because there ain't nothing she can do about it, right? Well, then she's sitting there laying on the bed, and then another piece of paper gets dropped off with her, and she get up and she look at the thing, and it says all the balances are paid in full. She don't have no balance, and she's like, trying to figure that out. And then the letter says that, basically all your debts were paid 30 years ago. All this guy's debts were paid 30 years ago. And it turned out his doctor is the one that was the little boy that couldn't pay for the soup. You know what I mean? And so he grew up and he made sure that dude was taken care of. You see that? It was a cool commercial, but it was like, this works in life. All they're doing is showing you what the scriptures would be. If you were the person that's scattered, you would increase. You understand?
Got it.
That, doing these little things like that, you never know where that's gonna fall. You understand?
Got it.
What's that?
It's funny, I had a similar situation when I was stationed in Virginia.
Right.
I was riding on the freeway and the lady was on the side of the road and her car had ran out of gas. So I stopped to see what she needed. She told me. So I was like, yeah, I can you ride me some gas. So she took me to the gas station. She got the gas, put it in her oil tank. We drove back, and you know out there the freeway's like looped. They ain't like here where you can just get off and get back on.
Right.
So we looped around, came back. I brought her back to her car. She tried to give me some money. I was like, no, it's okay. I'm just glad you're good so you can get off the freeway. So like a week later, I got real down bad sick with a stomach virus, and I ended up going to Portsmouth Naval Hospital. And I was sitting in the lobby. I was just like balled up, curled up. And the lady walked by. She came by. She said, "I know you." I was like, "I don't think so." She's like, "Yeah, I do." She said, "You helped me when I was on the side of the freeway. Let me get you back here to the back so you can be seen." She was one of the nurses there.
See, that's why I said you never know. You never know where that's gonna pay off, right? So he said there's one that scattereth, there's that scattereth and yet increaseth. So you think, why you giving all your stuff away? Oh, because it always come back. You know what I mean? Like the Most High take care of me, so I make sure I take care of others. And so they increase even though it seems like they're losing all the time. You see that? And then it says, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. So there's some that like they don't want to give, they don't want to lend, but then they still end up broke. Why? Because nobody end up helping them out ever. Nobody ever says, "Hey, you know what? I'm down for you. I got you." Why? Because when they need it, that other person don't care. There's nobody else that cares because you never gave. You understand? And then verse 26, 25, the liberal spirit shall be made fat. So the person that's doing, so he's explaining that when you're liberal with your things, with what you give out, you're gonna be made to where you're able to eat all the time. The Most High is gonna take care of you. Understand?
Good.
So the liberal spirit will be made fat, and it says, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. All right, so the Most High is going to take care of you when you deal with others the right way. Okay?
Good.
So hopefully that answered that question. Let's see. What else we got?
Why do Israelites believe in UFOs for salvation?
Why do we believe in UFOs for salvation? First of all, man, we know what the UFOs are. They're chariots of the Most High. They're chariots of the angels. They're vehicles for the angels that get around and things like that. We don't go praying to the angels and to the chariots for our salvation. All right? But we know that Christ is coming. The scriptures say the Lord is going to come with the clouds. Right? When you go to the book of Jude, it tells you that he's going to come with the clouds. We know those clouds to be the chariots of the Most High. All right?
Okay.
Let's see, where's it at?
Say it's in Jude.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Jude. Now I'm looking at and Enoch also the seventh from Adam prophesied of these, saying, "Behold, the Lord coming with 10,000s of his saints." Right? Let's see. It's one verse 7. Revelations 1 verse 7. Sorry.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 7.
So first, read verse 1.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ.
So what, as we usually break this down, what's going to happen is it's going to reveal Yahweh Shai, Christ, right?
God.
Because a lot of people don't understand that he's going to be coming with those so-called UFOs, those unidentified flying objects. We know the identification of them. We know they're the chariots of the Most High.
God.
You understand?
God.
So we've identified them. Esau hasn't identified them. Esau and all their great so-called science hasn't identified them. All right?
God.
So we know what their identification is, but that's why the scriptures say he has to be revealed. Because a lot of people going to be looking up like, who's this big nigga in the sky? And we going to be like, Yahweh Shem Shabbat, bowing our faces, and we going to know who that is. You understand?
God.
All the other nations are going to be gearing up, trying to shoot him down and do all these things. We know who that is. All right?
God.
So the thing that's happening in Revelations is Christ is being revealed to you. Not that faggoty image you got on TV. All right? Not that little sissified image of somebody, or like I was talking to somebody recently from Africa, and they bowing and worshiping this dude that was born out in someplace in Africa, talking about he's the Messiah. It's like, dude, how does that line up with what the scriptures say that he wasn't going to be born again this time? He was going to come with the clouds, what we're reading right now. You see that? That don't make no damn sense for y'all to be worshiping some man saying he's Christ when the scriptures say he's going to come with the clouds. He's going to be coming in the sky. Right? Like we read in Acts the other day. You men of Galilee, why you standing there gazing up into heaven? This same Christ is going to come in the same manner he appeared or he disappeared. Y'all see that?
God.
So he ain't going to come born like he was the first time. He going to appear. But let's see. It said the revelation of Jesus Christ, read.
Which God gave unto him.
So which God gave unto John the Revelator, go ahead.
To show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass.
Things that are going to happen. Alright, read.
And he sent and signified it by his angel.
So this was given the stamp of approval of the Most High's message by him sending an angel. Everybody knew, okay, this message is from the Most High. Why? Because he sent it by an angel. Alright?
God.
Go ahead.
Unto his servant John.
Right, unto John the Revelator. So now we're going to go to verse 8 and see what that message was.
Revelation chapter 1.
7, sorry.
Verse 7. Behold, he cometh with the clouds.
Who? Jesus Christ. Who are we revealing? Jesus Christ, right?
God.
So who's coming with the clouds?
Christ.
Yahweh Shai, right? Christ. Okay, so he's coming with the clouds. So when we're sitting there talking about our salvation, we're not talking about the chariots themselves. We're not seeing one UFO and being like, oh, that's it. Come get me. We ain't standing on the building when we see what they call a shooting star, but we know it's a chariot. We ain't running up to the 47th floor of some building downtown, standing on the roof talking about, come get me, I'm right here. We know he's not going to come with just one. All right?
That's right.
He said he came with the clouds, plural. So we know Christ is our salvation, not the chariots themselves. Christ is going to be coming with those chariots. But is it just going to be one or two or three? No. Watch this. Read on.
And every eye shall see him.
And every eye is going to see him. So how is it going to be one chariot, but every eye sees him? You see that?
God.
You got these cats, I'm controlling the chariots. Look, I'm going to do this and it's going to fly this way. But niggas in China can't see that chariot. People in Australia can't see that chariot. You understand?
God.
No, when he comes, everybody's going to see him. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be Independence Day huge. You understand?
God.
Where cats in France going to be like, what is that? Right?
God.
Yeah, everybody's going to see him. Go ahead.
God. And they also which pierced him.
Right? Go ahead.
And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him.
See, and all the earth going to be trembling because of him. Now, when he comes with the clouds, is it going to be one cloud or is it going to be a lot of clouds? There's going to be a lot of chariots.
God.
That's where we read Jude 1 verse 14. And it said, Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. You understand?
God.
So he's coming with 10,000s of angels. He's coming with millions of them when you go in the book of Revelations.
God.
It says 10,000 times 10,000. You understand?
God.
So we're dealing with 100 million angels when you get in the book of Revelation. So we're not looking for one chariot. No, we know Christ is going to be coming with those chariots. All right, that's our salvation. All right. So yeah, ain't no chariots the salvation alone. It's going to be Christ with the chariots. Let's see.
I have Jeremiah chapter 4 and 13 as well.
Get that.
Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 13. Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 13.
God.
You got it?
God.
Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariot shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled.
See that? So his chariot is going to be swifter than a whirlwind, man. They just going to cut. That's how they appear. That's how they look. But are we looking for the salvation from those? Like, are we looking for salvation from our enemies from those chariots? No, we're looking for it from Christ. Y'all see that? Now, in certain instances, you definitely don't want to be looking for no chariot. You know, what we've been talking about, right? You have an issue at work, right? Your boss treating you like crap. You got an enemy. They treat you like crap. You looking up in the air for a UFO? Look in that book and find the answer, right? Blow on the spark and it'll kindle a fire. But if you spit on it, you'll put the whole thing out. That's what the scriptures say, right? Okay, so I'm not looking up in the air for no chariot to save me from this situation. Your bills come in, you standing on top of the roof of the Sears Tower talking about, hey, help me. With a sign, right? You flying off to New York to jump on the Empire State Building with a sign and be like, hey, come get me. That ain't gonna stop your bills from coming in. You understand? So your salvation gonna be getting in that book and being around men of wisdom. Like it says in Ecclesiastes 8 verse 8 in the Bible, or in the Apocrypha. Getting around those people of wisdom and getting knowledge from them.
That's right.
Y'all see that? So we know our salvation comes through Christ, man. Our salvation comes through these scriptures. Coretta Fletcher says, in the first and second books of Kings, was there an evil spirit upon kings that turn away from the law of the Most High? For example, 2 Kings 11 verse 29 through 31. So let's get that. Let's get 2 Kings 11 verse 29 and 31.
No, 29 in 2 Kings verse 11, chapter 11. Maybe she meant first.
Probably 1 Kings. Is that it?
God, looks like it.
What's that?
1 Kings chapter 11 verse 29. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they too were alone in the field.
That's not the question that they asking about. Since if you can get the right scripture, it might try 2 Samuel, man. If you can get the right scripture on there so we can go ahead and address that question for Coretta Fletcher.
That one doesn't have 29 either.
Okay. I'm going to move to the next question, but sis, if you can get that right scripture, then we'll be able to answer that question. But is there we can answer that question anyway. Is there an evil spirit upon kings that turn away from the law of the Most High? There's an evil spirit on anybody that turn away from the law of the Most High. All right. And first of all, go to Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4 in your Apocrypha. Actually, verse 3. Start at verse 3.
Is it 1?
Yep. Chapter 1, verse 3 and 4.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, and verse 4 and 5. 3 and 4. Con, if you have it. For forward thoughts separate from Yah and his power. When it is tried, reprove it the unwise. For into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter.
See that? So, if you play with it, wisdom's not going to enter you. If you want to be malicious and you want to do things opposite of what the Most High has told you to do, and like in the case of King Saul, if that's what you were trying to bring up, then yeah, wisdom's not going to enter you. So what happens? If wisdom don't enter you, then negative's going to enter you.
God.
Y'all see that?
God.
Okay, so if you ain't dealing with wisdom, you're going to be dwelling with wickedness. All right?
God.
He said, for into a malicious spirit, wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject to sin. All right? So if you want to deal with sin and negative, then wisdom's not going to come for you. And that's where you read about, in the book of Samuel's, where that evil spirit entreated Saul, but the righteous spirit departed from him. Right? Why? Because if the good and the evil ain't gonna be dwelling in the same place. All right. Let's see. She said it was 2 Kings 10 verse 29 through 31. All right, y'all got that?
God.
Go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 10, verse 29. Howbeit, from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, Jehu departed not from after them, to wit, the golden calves that were in Bethel and that were in Dan. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart. Thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart. For he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin.
Right. So yeah, it's the same problem. You got cats that, they get righteous one day, right? They righteous one day and gung ho for the Most High, and then the next minute they doing whatever the hell they feel like. Well, the Most High said in this case, and in many other cases, that I'm not with that. You're lukewarm. All right. He doesn't like people that's lukewarm. So going back to Revelations, we said chapter 3.
Revelations chapter 3, verse 16.
There you go.
Revelations chapter 3, verse 15. I know thy words, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
See that? So he doesn't want somebody that's half-assing it. He wants you to be in there 100%. All right? So, these cats they be in the spirit one day and then out of the spirit the next. He don't want that. He wants you for him 100%. One minute you in the truth gung-ho and you want to do everything, and the next minute you not. That's how this king was. He was one minute, you know what, I'm going to get rid of all the prophets of Baal and da-da-da-da-da. But then what? So everybody can follow me and worship in Molech. What? That don't make sense. You got rid of all the prophets of Baal just so niggas will follow you and go worship at this other statue? Why didn't you do away with all that and return to the Most High? Do me a favor, Allah Rock, if you can turn this up a little bit more, man. Or either way.
Let me see the mic you're using.
Huh?
Oh, switch mics.
Switch mics?
Yeah, that one's stronger.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. There it is. Yeah, I'm over here about to lose my damn guts. All right.
Yeah, I need to switch those chords.
Go to Romans chapter 14, verse 5. Just on that question, about these kings that, there was a few kings that were like this, where, they did all these righteous acts, and then, toward the end, it was like, yeah, but I'm still gonna worship other gods, though. yeah, you blessed me for being righteous this time, but I'm still going to do what I want to. You see that? They didn't turn with their whole heart back to the Most High. And that's these type of people. Read that.
Romans chapter 14, verse 5. One man esteemeth one day above another.
Right, so what the scripture's showing you is there's a type of person that they esteem one day above another. One day, they like, oh yeah, I'm gung-ho Israelite. I'll fight for the truth. I'll die for the truth. Right? But then the next day, you like, where you at, bro? Oh, we passing out flyers. Yeah, I'm sick. Or, yeah, my mama said I gotta, what I mean? It's like, man, you got a million excuses. What happened? When we need you, you ain't there. But when it's time to talk about it, your mouth the loudest. See that? But when it comes to depend on you, then where you at? Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I had to do this. I had to do that. See that? That's that bad that he esteems one day above another. Right? Read on.
Another esteemeth every day alike.
See, but then there's some, they gung-ho every day for the truth. See that? They're consistent. They always want to do the work of the Most High. It's always, when they wake up in the morning, they're like, man, Barak Yahweh, for give me another breath. Give me another day. I'm going to do everything I can in this day to please you. Then the next day, whether that day went good or bad, the next day, Barak Yahweh, give me another breath. I'm going to do everything this day to try to please you. Every day for them is like, I'm still doing it toward the Most High. Nothing discourages them from that path that they were doing. You understand? But others is like, yeah, yeah, Israel, right? You got these actors turning into Israelites now. These rappers and stuff, they turn into Israelites. But after that, you don't see them on no street corner. You don't see them on, after they profess it. I'm Israelite, I ain't black no more, right? All that, after they profess it, where are they at? Are they in class? Are they doing their next YouTube live, their next MTV show? Are they doing it from a class or from from hey, this is where I go to get my wisdom at? Are they still promoting it, or was it a fad for that time? You'll see that? That's why I said, I'm cool with all these brothers and sisters that's changing, especially these stars, because that gets a lot of notoriety toward who we are, right? Toward the truth. But at the same time, are you working out your own soul salvation? Are you esteeming one day above another? Yeah, I'm going to put out this album down today, but tomorrow I'm going back to the BITCHs and hoes, right? Are you doing it every day? Or are you just doing it because it's going to sell an album? Or because it's going to make you noticeable again, right? Like some of these cats you ain't really heard of until they came out. Oh, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Oh, okay, well, yeah, now we know who you are, right? Now, oh, yeah, dude might have done 20 movies and you. Yeah, I think I know that guy, right? But now he say you're Israelite. Now everybody, TMZ want to jump on it. Hey, you're an Israelite now? What's that about? So that means you don't like homos, right? That's their first question every time. Because they get gay as hell, right? Now they become relevant. And okay, yeah, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Now that it made me relevant, but every other day I'm not going to be rocking my fringes. I'm still going to be shaving my face. I'm not going to be keeping the laws. Well, then you're just esteeming one day above another. You're just in it for it as a fad. But us real Israelites, we do this every day. And we don't do it for the notoriety. You know what I mean? When I go home, I ain't got to block paparazzi on the way to my door or nothing like that. Ain't nobody running up, hey, sign my chest. You don't get none of that. But that's not why we teach. So that we could be known in the streets and all that. We ain't doing it for that. We're doing it for our people. See that? But this is an everyday thing for real Israelites. It's a whenever thing for the fake ones. You see that? And it's the same thing with these kings that you're reading about in this king you're reading about in 2 Kings. One day he wanted to be gung-ho Israel because that was the thing to do. And the next minute he was still going back to them high places. He was still going to them groves and worshiping Ashtoreth and Molech and Kion and all these other gods. Alright? So hopefully that answers your question on that. Let's see what else we got. If it didn't sufficiently answer it, go ahead and just let us know and we'll go even more into it. It is not a problem. What else we got? Let's see. What does filthy communication mean as mentioned in Colossians 3 and 8? Let's go there. I mean, this should be pretty obvious, obviously, but, we're still going to answer it because, it's not obvious to all. Filthy communication is talking filthy, talking dirty, being disgusting. You know what I mean? And around, especially when it's uncalled for, when it's not necessary. You might hear me say some things that people be like, but it's for what? For the edification, so the thing will stick in your brain. Yeah, you remember when he was talking about this? Yeah, that was nasty, man. But I understand what them scriptures saying now. Right? Yeah, remember when he was talking about them pulling out bowls of worms out of the dude's intestines because he was eating all that pork? Yeah, that's why Leviticus 11 say don't eat that. You remember now, right? Because even though the communication got filthy, like, worms on your stomach and your brain and all this stuff like that, they eating your body parts and doing all. Yeah, I don't want to hear that, but it was for the edification, right? Okay, so there's that type of filthy communication where you're talking about things that are filthy for the purpose of edifying and teaching, all right? But then there's filthy communication where you like, yeah, I was knee deep in this girl's guts and she was doing this to me and that to me and da 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 da. You like, what if somebody's hearing you talk like this? You rocking your fringes, you out there, with your beard full grown, and you talking about some girl you dug out back in the 12th grade. You know what I mean? In detail. Right. That's not for the whole world to hear. All right? That ain't even for most other people to hear. But read that. Colossians 3 and 8.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 8. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth.
See that? See, now you're supposed to put these things off. When you come in Christ, you put these things off, that filthy communication. You put off talking like a nasty niggard. You understand?
God.
You ain't the nasty nigga no more. You ain't doing no whisper songs and doing all these things like that. You understand? You ain't talking about man, there's so many disgusting topics. We got a child in the class, so I ain't gonna go into them, but there's so many topics that we as grown-ups have gotten accustomed to that is not part of Israelite life no more. You understand? It was way back. We still use this example to this day, but we used to have picnics. We need to start doing that again, man. We used to have picnics for the camp and everything. We go out and we have the picnics and everybody cooking and doing all this, right? And then the brothers would be out playing basketball and doing their thing, and then you find out the next day that while sisters was grouped up, preparing things and just sitting around talking and everything, chilling, that one of the sisters was talking about, yeah, I just love when my husband come in the shower and I'm in the shower already and he come in with ice cubes and do all this, and you like, no, sis, that ain't why we got together. So you could talk about what you and your husband do in the damn shower. You understand? And that was way back, but it still sticks in the brain because it was like, what kind of idiot brings that to people that are of the Bible now? You understand? Who brings that to people that is sitting around in the topic wasn't even on that? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you got, Tourette's or something? What's wrong with you? Why do you even bring that up? But see, that's the kind of things that as an Israelite you put back, you put aside. You're not still talking about those things amongst people that don't need to hear that. You understand? So that filthy communication is something that got to be put out of our mouth. We're going to Romans again. Sorry, 1 Corinthians 8, verse 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 13.
We're going to start at verse 11.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 11. And through thy knowledge shall the weak...
Start at 10, I'm sorry.
God, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 10. For if any man see thee, which has knowledge, sit and meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols.
Right. See, you got brothers that have, when you get to a certain level of the knowledge, if your family tries to invite you over to Christmas, right? You're using that as an opportunity. I'm not going there because, hey, I want to start eating ham again, right? Oh, I want to start eating that pork gravy Grandma used to make. Ooh, I can't wait to unwrap some Christmas presents, right? You go in there so you can like slyly check your family. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't eat. I can't eat that pork, man. I was watching this video the other day about the worms and all that. I can't do it. Can't do it. Look at this video. Don't show me that, right? You like, see, that's why the Most High said don't do it. That's why I don't do it. You try to slyly do that, but if you go in there and say you bring some, you say you brothers check in with each other, right? And say you tell a brand new brother, oh yeah, I'm over at my mom's house. She's doing this little Christmas thing. Huh? Right. Wait a minute, ain't we supposed to not do Christmas no more? Right? He don't understand why you doing that. And it's the same with your conversation. There's higher level conversation that, brothers might have. Me and certain brothers, we talk about some deepness on scriptures, or sometimes we talk about some deep things on the world and what they doing. But if a brother came in right in the middle of it and you talking about, yeah, this chick's poo-poo shorts was so damn tight that you can see her tonsils and everything, we might be like, we know we're complaining about the issue, but he just walked in and he hearing us talk about the girl in the poo-poo short, and instead of us being conscious and saying, oh yeah, we were talking about this and why, the scriptures say that, instead of us showing that brother why we're speaking like that, he might just be thinking, damn, that level of communication ain't an Israelite, man. He gonna start judging right away, right? So if you're not gonna be careful with your tongue and careful with your surroundings and your environment, knowing that you're surrounded with so great a cloud of witnesses, then you gotta put all filthy communication out of your mouth. You understand?
Got it.
There's situations, like I said, when I did go to jail, dealing with old boy with the shirt, I didn't say it the way I explained it to y'all. There was a lot of F words and a lot of S words and all this stuff involved in how I was talking to him. But it still hit his spirit. Why? Because that's how they talk there. Right. You understand? But he still took the shirt and he kept warm. You understand? So, there's ways you talk there. But I didn't explain it to y'all like that because y'all be like, wow, you talk like that? Not when I don't have to. You understand? Not when it's not necessary. But then, if you get so embroiled in that, and then you come around other people and you just talking like that on the regular, now we got a kid in here, you know what I mean? And it's like, F this and S this and that. She like, Mom, right? She gonna start using them words, and then mom's gonna be looking at me like, what's wrong with you, man? Right. You understand? So I'm not gonna use that type of communication based off of who I'm around. You understand? So that filthy communication can be both ways. It's going to be dependent on your audience. All right. But let's read that. What's that?
I have a question.
On that? Go ahead.
So with the way you were explaining that in that situation you spoke the way they were, with the scripture that says that if you're with someone and they don't understand what you're saying, you're going to translate, would that go with their...
Yeah. About the tongues.
God.
Yeah, if you speak in an unknown tongue,
that's
right, there got to be a translator.
Because you're being all things to all men in that point, right?
Right, because otherwise they will look at you like a heathen man and a publican. They gonna look at you like, dude, what's wrong with you? You're a barbarian, dude. What's wrong with your mouth, right? But it's like, no, understand the situation. You know, this is how they talk in jail. This is normal conversation. If I'd have came talking like a holy roller Bible thumper, they'd have been like, go sit in the corner until we come rape you. You understand? Just wait over there and bend over. Y'all see that? So there's certain ways you're going to come at certain people. In jail, they respect power. They respect somebody talking in a powerful way, in a more masculine way. Out here, you got to bring it down a little bit. Y'all see that? We ain't being on the street corner talking about, you go over there with the punks and do all that. We ain't talking like that with them. We showing them the scriptures. Why? Because you got people to call. Yeah, they out here talking about this and that. They get all personally offended, right? But we, as much as you can, you try to make sure that you're not offensive to the people you're around. So when you put off the filthy communication, you put off these certain things, these certain ways of speaking, in order that you'll gain a few. Y'all see that? Read on with that, where you're at.
God, verse 10. Middle precept. Which shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things.
Where you at? 1 Corinthians what?
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 10.
Uh-huh.
Middle precept. Shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols.
See that? So wouldn't that person get weak and think, oh, well, I could talk like that all the time? No, you got to explain. You understand?
Go ahead.
Explain why you're talking like that, or stop talking like that immediately. You understand?
Go ahead.
And if you walk in and you see that judgmental look on it, you know what? Next subject. You understand? Oh, hey, brother, how you doing, man? Shut up. You know what I mean? We're going to skip subjects right away because what? This is going to cause him to be offended. It's going to cause him to become an offensive person and think, oh, you know what? Oh, it's okay to talk like that. It's okay to act like that at all times. Well, if you ain't got an explanation for why you're doing it, which you should always be able to explain what you're doing in the truth. All right? According to the scriptures, every move you make. Y'all see that? If not, then you need to give more scriptures or you need to stop doing what you're doing. Right? But watch this. Read on.
Verse 11. And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish.
See, through your knowledge, through you know what y'all talking about, should that weak brother now be off for the rest of his life because he thinks that's acceptable? Nah, man. You got to chill. You got to bring your knowledge down to his level now and say, we got to dumb down a little bit. We can't keep talking about this. Y'all see that? Like I said, there's ways that, we talk a certain way when we're explaining things and explaining what's going on in the world and about these homosexuals and things like that and things they do, right? And there's a certain level I talk about that with brothers like, hey, you don't know about painting the walls and you don't know about this and that. If I started explaining what painting the walls is and all that stuff with a kid around, they'd be at school talking about this. And they're like, why is your daughter talking about these filthy, disgusting acts of sexuality? Well, I took her to this Bible class and see, they ain't gonna understand that at all, right? So I keep that conversation with brothers like, listen, we talk about this and we're gonna let you know why the scriptures say that it's a shame to even speak of the things they do in secret. That's why you making that face when I talk about it, right? And then there's a certain thing I'm gonna say around kids and just be like, yeah, you can't be a booty buster, right? You can't be doing these things. Why? Because we don't need that kid taking that to school, taking that in regular conversation with other children. Y'all see that? So that level of filthy communication ain't for her. Y'all see that? But you got to make it more graphic for adults so they can understand how filthy and disgusting it is. You understand? Like when you start talking about, the things they use and the diameter they can expand some of their little toys to where the dude to get anal seepage. You understand? Where they can't even walk around with and hold their feces in. Okay, that sounds filthy as hell, right? You like, ugh. But, I'm not going to be sitting there going in depth on that while you got children around, right? Why? Because that don't need to be part of their normal conversation, man. Let them grow up before they got to hear about all that. You see that? So there's a level you will take it to. And even when I'm explaining it with the kid present, there's a level I'm going to take it to. Okay, I'm going to use big $5 words now. Because it's kind of like talking in code. When you start spelling things out, they just get lost. Like, yeah, I don't know what you say. Too technical. I'm done. Right? So they tune out, but you still get what I'm saying. So there's levels of filthy communication. There's levels that are acceptable levels. And it's going to depend on who you're around. All right? We can't think like Christians or, the holy rollers when we're approaching the scriptures. All right? Because there's ways that Christ talked to people. There's ways that, when he said, hey, it'll be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in those days than it'll be for you. Ooh, you calling me worse than a faggot? Right in front of everybody? Okay. And then everybody knew how deep Christ talked, so they like, ooh, what you been doing? What he know about? Right? They instantly looking at the person he talking to like, huh? Right? Like, what you at? Because he was always putting cats on blast, right? So, knowing this, there's levels of it that it goes to, all right? What's that?
Also, like when they were talking about how he upbraided the people.
Yeah.
When you do the definition of upbraided, it wasn't that nice.
He wasn't just, hey, brother, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Nah, he was digging in, man. He was going in on them. Right? All right, so where you at?
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 11. Last precept. For whom Christ died. Verse 12. But when ye sin, so against the brethren, and wound their weak conscience.
See, when you do these things against the brethren, you wound their weak conscience, man. You ain't considering their mindset and how much more growing they have to do where they're coming out of church or coming out of, things like this, and they have a certain take on how people of the Bible are supposed to act, and then you sit around talking like you have a certain liberty to talk. You understand? You don't have that liberty when you got a young brother, young sister there. You got to dial it back a little bit until they grow to that level. Y'all see that? Unless you're going to explain so that they can grow to that level. Y'all see that? Like, when we use, when brothers on the street corner, they'd be like, y'all BITCHs and this and this. People don't understand that, right? You guys aren't like them. They be cussing at people, calling them these and this and that. I said, but the Bible calls them that. So they perfectly within their right. Now, there's a different level that they got to deal with, say, in New York, street teaching, than how they street teach down here. You see that? So those words are perfectly appropriate to wake up an audience out there, because otherwise they just going to walk past you. Right? Down here, they hear you yelling, they listening. That's it. Out there, everybody yelling. That's normal speaking voice. Right? So I gotta put you on blast about something or hit you right in the face with a certain word that you wouldn't expect from a Bible man. What did you just say? Hold on, what you say? Right? So in that case, what am I doing? I'm having to switch up depending on my audience. Right? But he said if you're gonna make that person to offend, right? Or if you're not gonna basically explain why you're talking like that. If you don't have the scriptures to back up and say, yeah, they call it BITCH because the scriptures say you have a whore's forehead. The scriptures say that a shameless woman should be counted as a dog. So if they see a shameless woman walk down the street, what else are they supposed to call her? You see that? So, what would you say? Y'all see that? What's a female dog? So this is how we explain that. So, we got levels to, what is so-called filthy communication? There used to be a time where saying the words that I've been spelling out used to be, you spelled it out. Oh my God, it's the same thing, right? But now you click on TV and your comic book characters are saying it. You know what I mean? You watching a cartoon with your kid and they saying it. Like, dang, man, this used to be grown-up talk. Now it's kid talk. You see that? So the level's gonna change depending on the audience. All right. Do you finish that?
Wow.
What's that?
I had a good scripture.
Hold that. Read the rest, and then we'll hit that one because I got another one too with it.
Got it. Verse 12. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 12. Last precept.
All right.
Ye sin against Christ. Verse 13.
So when you cause that person to sin, when you cause them to sin based off of what they see you doing by your example, you sin against Christ just like that. Y'all see that? Go ahead.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
Wherefore, if me make my brother to offend.
So if my words, if my appropriate words in certain instances, or my words that I would normally have in conversation with grown men offend this sister or this other brother or whatever, go ahead.
I will eat no flesh while the world standeth.
Then I'm not going to partake in that type of conversation. You see that? I'll just dial it back. Like I said, there was times where we had brothers that came in and, oh, you brothers drink wine? Oh my God, you drink. Y'all don't know that brother. It's the same accent and everything. He used to flip because brothers was drinking. And we had to go through like multiple classes showing him it's okay to drink, right? But he didn't like, so, okay, well, you're raised in church and church told you you can't drink. Okay, well, these are the scriptures that show that it's okay to drink, right? But if you don't want to drink, we ain't forcing it on you. But what happened? He got around certain brothers that weren't mindful that he don't want to drink. That he's not on that. Yeah, he's cool with being around us, but he don't believe it's okay still. So rather than them brothers say, you know what? Hey, the brothers are gonna be here, man. Let's not drink today, right? Nah, they still went ahead and drank, and then one dumb brother came up to her, hey, man, you want to drink? And it just snapped. I thought you don't drink. He just lost his mind. And you like, you never see the brother again, man. You never want to come around. You never want to hang out. Why? Because that meat made your liberty, which is perfectly okay for you, offended this young brother. You see that? So if you're not going to explain, now there's certain things he didn't want to handle the explanation either. You give him a whole page of scriptures back to back to back, line per line, each one's a scripture, and he's still, no, this is not the right. Well, then you ain't believing the Bible. I can't help you. You see that? But at the same time, if you still content to hang around us, we don't have to give you no drink. More for me. Y'all see that? So there's certain people, they're going to be offended just by the fact that you using certain liberties. Right? So you got some that's trying to be eunuchs. It's rare, but you got some that's like that. And every time you come around them, you want to talk about, yeah, your wife did this, your wife did that. And they looking at you like, bruh, I'm abstaining from it. They looking down on you now because they got it to some level. It's like, okay, well, that's your world. That don't make it unlawful for me. But you know what? I don't want to offend, so I don't have to keep talking about what my wife do. We got many other subjects to talk about. You see that? So it's gonna matter what that person finds offensive and that's just love, right? You want to get around somebody, they on a fast, they in day 2. You hear their stomach rumbling every 2 seconds, and you talk about, oh my God, that Whataburger with the mushroom. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, they're looking at you like, I'll kick you in your face. Right? At that point, you become offensive just by your liberty of eating. Right? And this is what Paul's trying to explain to you, is just showing love, man. It's just doing the right thing by people, having common human decency. It ain't even got to turn into no holy roller Bible thumper stuff. You understand? It's just having human decency that you see this person doesn't deal with that. You see that? You get in a feast and or you not even a feast, but brothers want to go out and everything. You got one that's a vegetarian or he don't eat meat or whatever, and all you want to, hey man, we about to barbecue, you coming? And no vegetables there. All meat, right? The best too. You know what I mean? You're like, why would you keep throwing that in my face? Go ahead and eat what you want to eat. I don't got to be around for that. Why can't, for this time when you hang out with me, we go eat this? Y'all see that?
God.
So in these things, you're dealing with a level of filthy communication. And you would think that, but ain't nothing filthy about that. But to that person, it is. You understand?
God.
Meanwhile, they all types of F words and S words and all this stuff, and that's normal to them. You like, wait a minute, but okay, well, when in Rome, right? I gotta do this. Read Romans 9 verse 11 real quick. Is it 9 11? No. It's 1 Corinthians. We're still 1 Corinthians 9 verse 22. Sorry.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. Till the weak became I as weak.
See, so my communication is going to be based off of who I'm around. If to the weak, I'm going to become as weak. Okay, well, you don't believe in listening to this type of radio? Cool. I don't got to listen to the radio at all. Okay. See that? You don't believe in drinking? Cool. I don't got to drink around you. See that? There's plenty of opportunities where you ain't around, I can drink. See that? And I ain't got to pour you a cup. Right? So, to the weak, I become as weak. I become as if I don't do those things. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right, bro. I ain't got to listen to this dirty, heathenistic music. Turn this off. Right? But when I'm around my boys that know better and it doesn't offend them and it doesn't become a part of their lifestyle, right? It's going right back up. Why? Because it doesn't offend that person. Y'all see that? That's normal for them. Why? What's the point of it? Read.
That I might gain the weak.
See, so I became weak as weak, so I will gain the weak. So I could win that brother over. Y'all see that? Go ahead.
I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some.
Right, see? You become all things for all men so that you can save some. That's the purpose. If it doesn't have that purpose, there's no point in switching up like that. Be you. You see that? But if the purpose is to win some over, then, okay, well, shoot. I'm turning that off. I'm switching over. I'm going to be like this to these people and be like this to these people. You know what I mean? You're talking to a whole group of faggots, but they Israelites, and they interested in the fact that they Hebrew Israelites. You're going to come at them hardcore, you faggots, I got to stop doing this and doing it. Or you're going to be like, you're going to talk soft and be like, hey, this is what the scriptures say, man. Do you love God? You say you love God, right? Okay, well, listen, go to the scripture. Now, I ain't got to talk with a lisp. You know what I mean? I ain't got to grab no KY out as a party gift. Right? I don't have to do exactly what they're doing, but I can still be soft and gentle for them and not offend their delicate little sensibilities while giving them the word of the Most High. You see that? And at the same time, when I'm around more masculine people that haven't been effeminized by that nature, okay, well then I'm going to become that strong, masculine man. Right? Okay. Let's see. So the whole purpose of doing that is that you may gain some. Oh my God, really? Dude. What else we got? Let's see. So hopefully that answered your question. I know we went a long way with that, but could you explain Revelation 2 verse 18, and could it be used together with Revelation 1 verse 14 and 15? Let's get Revelation 2 verse 18 then.
Revelation 2 and 18?
Yeah, I got it. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, these things saith the Son of God, who has his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can use that with the description of Christ in Revelation 1 verse 14 and 15. Definitely. All right, it's a good precept. Another question. Was Timothy an Israelite or a Gentile? Acts 16 verse 1. Let's see.
Acts chapter 16, verse 1. Acts chapter 16, verse 1. Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there, named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek.
Okay, so they're giving you the example that his mother was a Jewess, and believed. You understand?
Right.
Because the point is, when he talks about her, the father being a Greek, you had Israelites in the Greek mindset. All right.
All right.
So this was more, but let's make sure. Give you a little further edification on this. We got the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. We're under Grecia and Grecians. Grecia is Greece, the home of the Hellenes. Greeks and Grecians, however, are to be distinguished. Greeks are generally those of Hellenic race, like Acts 16:1, 18:4, and probably John 12:20. But the word may be used to indicate non-Jews, foreigners, and aliens, as in Romans 1 verse 16. Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews, folk of the dispersion from areas predominantly Greek. Greek and its associated island, so it's going into geography. But you see right there, you have the option of it being a Hellenized Jew, all right? A person that had taken on Greek customs. So that's why they might say that his mother was a Jewess and believed, while his father was basically unbelieving. He was a Greek. His mind was Greek. That nigga just, he over there worshiping Diana and all the other gods and Jupiter and Mars and all that. But he's a Jew. You know what I mean? He over there uncircumcised, playing discus, butt naked, but his mother was still on the belief system, right? She still believed in the ways of the Jews. But as for, let's see, which was well reported of the brethren that were at Lystra and Iconium, him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews which were in those quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek. All right? So he went ahead and took on the circumcision. Let's see. As they went through the cities, they delivered them. Okay, so that's going on to something else. Let's see if this gives. Now, again, we might have to do more research for you. We just try to go in and see if it would just give a clear answer right here. But a lot of this, you got to remember, Paul is the same one that is dealing with this brother Timothy, right? And he was writing letters to Timothy telling him how to order the churches. And then he's the same one that in Romans 9 said that the service of God and the giving of the law and all these things was pertained to the Jews only. All right? So more than likely we're dealing with Timothy that he put over the church was a Jew, but his father was a Greek-minded person. He was a Hellenized person.
Good.
But I'm going to look and see if the Zondervan gives any more on this, and if not, I'll get back to you next class about the nationality of this brother. But, using the precepts, using the scriptures, we know this. Paul, the same man that brought Timothy in, is the same one that said that in Romans 9 and verse 4 that the service of God and the giving of the law pertain to Israel. All right? So we got Timothy, Timotheos, honoring God. That's what his name means. Paul's spiritual child. Later, the apostle's fellow traveler and official representative. His character was a blend of amiability and faithfulness in spite of natural timidity. Paul loved Timothy and admired his outstanding personality traits. One must read Philippians 2 verse 19 through 22 to know how highly the apostle esteemed this young friend. None of Paul's companions is mentioned as often and is with him as constantly as Timothy. That this relationship was of an enduring nature is clear from 2 Timothy 4 verse 9 and 21. Paul knew that he could count on Timothy. He was the kind of person who, in spite of his youth, he was Paul's junior by several years. His natural reserve, Let me see. I'm trying to see if they give any indication of his nationality. Oh, here we go. Timothy is first mentioned in Acts 16:1, from which passage it may be inferred that he was an inhabitant of Lystra. He was the offspring of a mixed marriage, a Greek pagan father and a devout Jewish mother, Eunice. So here they're saying his father was a pagan in Greek, like by nationality. Let's see. From the days of his childhood, Timothy had been instructed in the sacred writings of the Old Testament. In the manner of devout Israelites, his grandmother Lois and mother Eunice had nurtured him. Then came Paul, who taught this devout family that Yahushua is the fulfillment of the Old Testament. First, grandmother Lois and mother Eunice accepted Christ. Then, as a result of their cooperation with Paul, Timothy also did so. This took place on Paul's first missionary journey. All right, so again, it's still going to be up in the air because of the fact that you had Greeks or you had Jews in that Greek mind state. All right, so remember, if it says she was a Jewess and believed, well, why did they have to throw in and believed? Because when you read about all the other Jews, it didn't have to say they believed, right? But why did it say his mother was a Jewess and believed, and his father was a Greek? Because a lot of times a person will be called a Greek, right? And they will be a Hellenist, or they would be somebody that converted over to the Greek ways in their mind. All right, and you see that in the book of Maccabees also. Trying to see if I got it right off the bat. If not, I have to get it for you later. Where a lot of brothers had taken on the same customs as the Greeks.
Where it says, moreover, King Antiochus wants his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
You got that. You got that part. But there's another part I'm looking for. Let's see. Looking for this other part. It's in should be in Maccabees. Let's see. There it is. Let's see. Yeah, go to First Maccabees 1. Yeah, there it is. It's going to get stupid. Start at verse 11.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11.
So you're going to see we always had sellouts and cool niggas up in Israel, man. Even back to 333 BC, the time of the Greeks. All right?
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
See that? Let's go make a covenant with these wicked nations, with the Greeks. Go ahead.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Go ahead.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
See that? He actually gave them license to go against the high priest, to go against the law keepers of Israel and the lawmakers of Israel. So that way they could just show them like, yeah, this is why I'm a faggot now. I got a license from the king. I do what I want. You see that?
God.
They were so forward in their wickedness, they decided, I'm gonna do Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna do gay lesbian pride, right? And I'm gonna push this on the government, make sure they let everybody know this is okay now. So even my pastor can't say nothing about it. Y'all see that?
God.
This is how they was doing back then with the Greeks. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem,
So your gymnasiums. Go ahead.
according to the customs of the heathen,
Right?
and made themselves uncircumcised.
They did what?
And made themselves
How
uncircumcised.
the hell do you make yourself uncircumcised? That's why Romans 1:28 tells you they do these things which are not convenient. Like, would you sew the foreskin back on? How do you? Nah, they made their minds like the uncircumcised. You understand?
God.
They made their minds and their ways and their actions like the heathen. Y'all see that?
God.
Read on.
And forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen.
See that? They joined themselves to the heathen. So now you got these people that, nah, I ain't no Jew no more. Right?
God.
Nah, I'm just a black Greek. Right? You got Serena Williams, you got all these cats bleaching their skin, blonding up their hair, trying to put blue eyes in. Right? Why? Because they don't want to be like their own nationality, their own people. They want to be like the heathen. Y'all see that?
God.
This goes back all the way back to the Bible, man. We had it back then. Read on.
And were sold, and were joined, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
See, they were sold to do mischief. All right.
God.
So what you're seeing right there is our people had joined in these ways. They went into the ways of the heathen that Jeremiah had warned us about, not to learn those ways. They went into it. So by the time you get to the New Testament, why do you think Paul was having to say that? There ain't no difference between Jew nor Greek, right?
God.
Why? Because anymore, everybody's so mixed in, blended together and everything like that. You might have to let the Spirit sort it out, man. That's why he said that in Romans 8:16. The Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we're the children of God. Because you got this man Timothy, who, whether his father was a Greek, like the... See, that's another problem you got. Was he the original Greeks, the people of Javan, right? The dark-skinned people of Javan? Or was he the white Greeks, the Edomites that came in and took over as the Greek Empire? That's why he said, don't get caught up in these endless genealogies, because you end up getting your mind blown. Because you might end up full circle finding out, oh, okay, it says he was a Greek, but Greeks was Jews that was converted over to Greeks too. Oh, it's confirmed he's a Greek, but he was part of the Macedonians that lived there before the Greeks came in and named it Greece. So he was a black man, right? But yeah, he was still a pagan though, because not all black people was Jews. So you be back and forth trying to figure out who this man that's long dead but served the Most High, what his nationality was. But we're gonna get that. We'll get that worked out, so that you got a clear, definitive answer on that. We'll do more research for you on Timothy's nationality, because it does say that. But once again, we gotta know Paul's the same one that said the giving of the law belongs to Israel.
Got it.
All right. Let's see. What else we got, sis?
Please explain Isaiah 4:1.
Let's do it.
Isaiah 4:1.
Who is that?
It is. Azarja, Israel.
Yeah, you gotta know it's Israel. Let's do it. Let's explain Isaiah 4:1, but you're not going to hear what you want to hear. Read that.
God. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach.
Okay, so first scripture, where Jeremiah? Oh, Jeremiah left, huh? You're going to be pulling mad scriptures then. Give me Zechariah 8:23. And hold where we're at. Zechariah 8:23, and then also get Proverbs 12:8.
God. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23.
All right, so we got in Isaiah 4, verse 1, he said what?
Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man.
Okay, so when you look at the ratio of, just in Houston, right, the ratio of females to males are 10 to 1. All right, 10 women to every 1 man. That's how it is down in Houston. All right, when you do it with the whole world, about the ratio is about 7 to 1. So it says that in those days, 7 women was going to take hold of 1 man. Go ahead, saying what?
We will eat our own bread.
We'll take care of ourselves. We ain't trying to get you so you can pay our bills, hit you for child support, make you pay for everything at dinner, and do all these things. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of ourselves. Go ahead.
And wear our own apparel.
And we'll get our own clothes. We got that. Go ahead.
And let us be called by thy name.
Only let us be called by thy name. You see that? Now that don't mean that they necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean they all gonna be trying to marry this dude. It might just mean they're gonna be able to say, hey, I'm following this guy. He's the one teaching me in the scriptures. Y'all see that?
Right.
Just like you have with all these, you got these different camps, and one man says he's of Paul, another says he's of Apollos, right? These women is gonna be able to say, oh, I'm of Thyatira, I listen to him, or yeah, I'm with Kazaki and them, I listen to them, right?
Right.
That don't mean that we married to them, right? They just follow us. See that? And they do their own thing. They don't try to get nothing from us or nothing like that. But you know what? Just so we can say we're part of ISBHBK. All right? You got a lot of sisters set tripping on Facebook and all that. I'm IUIC, I'm GOCC, I'm doing that. Well, that's them taking hold of that one man that leads them. Right? They ain't necessarily married to him, but they're trying to say, hey, we're under this name. We're under Elder Rocha. We're under General Yohana. We're under so and so. Okay. Well, that's the name you want to be called under. Y'all see that? Go ahead.
To take away our reproach.
To take away our what?
Reproach.
Right. So does marriage necessarily take away the woman's reproach? No. So we know what we teach that scripture on in certain subjects, but I'm showing you this way because we're not gonna deal with that other issue every time we have class. All right. This is showing you that they're going to do these things. They're going to join camps. They're going to join up with a man of wisdom and understanding. Give me Proverbs 12:8. They're going to join up with a real man, not a male, but a man, which makes the ratio even greater than 7 to 1 in these days because there's going to be 144,000 chosen men, right? And then you're going to have out of 7 billion wicked ass people on the earth. So that's a bigger ratio of females to men now. All right. So these women that wake up and find the Bible and say, I want to do this, they're going to take hold of a man and they're going to say, hey, listen, we'll do our own thing. Just let us be called by your name. Let us be part of GOCC, IUIC, ISBHPK, HOI, LOZ, whatever. Y'all see that? We just want to be called by that name. So what? To take away our reproach. So we can learn how to stop sinning. So we can learn how to get right with the Most High in Christ. Y'all see that? Okay, so give me Proverbs 12:8. What type of man is this? Is it talking about a free-for-all, 7 women having an orgy with one dude? Is that what we're talking about? No, they said to take away the reproach. So it's obviously not about some fornication right here. All right? They're joining to this one man for what? Because what type of man is he? What makes him a man as opposed to 7 women or 7 females jumping on one male? Let's see.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 8. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom.
See, they're going to go to a man of wisdom. Y'all get that?
Okay.
Why is these 7 women going to take hold of this one man? Because he has wisdom. While these other niggas is running around with their knuckles dragging on the ground and their pants sagging all just as low. Y'all see that?
Okay.
So, let us get with you because you know what the hell you talking about. You know how to guide us and lead us and show us the right way. See?
Okay.
Now give me Zechariah 8:23, just to show the parallel right there.
Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass, that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations.
Now we got 10 men that out of all the languages of the nations, they're going to do what? Read.
Even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew.
They're going to grab hold of one man too. Is this talking about homosexuality? They going to marry this dude? Right? No, why are 10 men out of all the languages and all the nations going to grab hold of the skirt of him that's a Jew? Read.
Saying, we will go with you.
We're going to go with you. Go ahead.
For we have heard that God is with you.
Because the Most High is with you. Y'all see that?
God.
That's why. So it's not necessarily just talking about, sex and marriage and things like that. We know what that scripture is used for. All right? We Israelites, we know what that scripture is used for and what liberty that's given us. But at the same time, it's also showing us that sisters are going to be joining camps, man. Sisters are going to be joining up to men of the Most High so that they can go ahead and be taught to take away the reproach, just like all these nations are going to be doing. All right?
God.
Let's see. What else we got?
Okay, is transubstantiation a good or bad thing? And do Israelites transubstantiation too?
Transubstantiation. That's interesting. I actually got to look that one up to remember what the hell that is. Transubstantiation definition. Yeah, I love these phones, man.
Right.
In the Roman Catholic Church, the conversion of the substance of the Eucharistic elements into the body and blood of Christ at the consecration. So exactly what we was talking about the other day, in a manner of speaking, is that are we partaking in the communion like the Catholic Church does? No, when they do it, we already went through that in Jeremiah where they baking the cakes to the Queen of Heaven and they pouring out drink to the Queen of Heaven. So when you're doing communion in the Roman Catholic Church, they're still carrying out this pagan custom. That's why the Pope got that fish hat on, because that represented Nimrod, which was Semiramis' wife, and she was also became known as the Queen of Heaven. All right. So when we go to Jeremiah, you find out that they were baking cakes and pouring out drink to the Queen of Heaven. And we had just did this in class the other day. So the so-called transubstantiation is what in reality it is you taking this word, the body and blood of Christ, the life and the words of Christ, and you eating them up with your eyes and your ears, listening and reading and studying and making it a part of your life. So that spiritually, yes, we believe in transubstantiation. Physically, do we believe that we're actually taking bread and biting a piece of Jesus? No. All right, it's a figure. All right, it's not it's a symbolism. What was I just about to? Oh, that's right. It was in Jeremiah, chapter 7, verse 18, right? And 44, verse 17.
God, Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18.
Uh-huh.
The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
See that? So that's what they doing when you deal with the Roman Catholic Church. That's why the Pope is wearing her husband's hat. And then he breaks you off that little cake, that little wafer, right? And you eating his wife, Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven. All right? So, no, you don't want to do that. Then 44, verse 17.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 17. But we will certainly do whatsoever things, going forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven.
That's where Israel got all wicked. I'm going to do whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm going to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven. Read.
And to pour out drink offerings unto her.
See that? And we're going to drink this wine to the Queen of Heaven. That's what you're doing in the Catholic Church. All right? They mask it by saying, oh, this is the same communion that Christ did at the Last Supper. Well, it's the same communion. Well, I got to get on my knees in front of the dirty-ass Pope. Where's that at? Where did Christ say, everybody get on your knees and partake in my flesh? That sounds gay. All right? He didn't do that when you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. All right, that Last Supper didn't have nothing to do with nobody getting on their knees and partaking in the bread. So why you got to do it in Catholicism? Because they're about homosexuality and paganism. All right? It's all symbolic to them too. But it's symbolic that you're submitting to Nimrod and his wife, the Queen of Heaven. That's why they still got you to this day worshiping that Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus. Right? Where in the Bible tell you worship that? Pray to that. It don't. Because what that is them taking Egyptian mythology, which was taken from Babylon. So in Egypt, it was Horus and Isis. The Greeks used to worship that. The Romans used to worship that. Horus and Isis, right? The mother with the child. Then when you go over to Babylonian tradition, which predates Egypt and Kemet and all that, the Babylonians was worshiping the Queen of Heaven and her son Tammuz. All right? So they took this, and this is all black people. That's why when you go to Rome, the Catholic Church got the black Madonna, the black baby Jesus. All right? Because they're still worshiping black people. They just worshiping the wicked ones, the Babylonians, the Egyptians. Y'all see that?
Right.
But they put it as if, oh yeah, you're worshiping Jesus and Mary. Well, ain't none of that's supposed to be worshipped at all. Y'all see that?
Right.
But why am I getting on my knees before this statue and before this old decrepit white man and having to put a piece of bread in my mouth and then drinking this little thimble full of wine? Because I'm still partaking of this practice of baking cakes to the Queen of Heaven. I'm still partaking in this practice of drinking the blood of the Queen of Heaven. Y'all see that?
Good.
That's how devilish they are, man, is they actually mix that with something holy, which was the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So no, we don't believe in transubstantiation as the Catholics do. All right? Our transubstantiation is taking this body and blood of Christ, this Bible, eating it with our eyes and our ears, and making that a part of our life. That's transubstantiation for a Hebrew. All right? So what else we got? Really? I thought I saw a lot on there.
We went through a lot of them.
Oh, we did?
9 questions.
You was asking for a friend. Okay. He did the I'm asking for a friend thing.
Yep.
That's funny. Oh, Tobit 1 verse 4 and 5. What was the question there?
That was on something that we were going over.
Oh, he was adding it or what?
Econ.
Okay. What time is it? Dang, man. Wow. I was going to take y'all over evolution, but damn. You got 40 minutes? Okay. I can do it in 40 minutes. I can make it fit. That sucks. Well, not really, because we got questions answered, but that's crazy. That time flew, man. Y'all sitting there like, no, I didn't. Now, let's go into this, though. Let's hit this evolution, man. And basically, the topic of the class is there such thing as evolution? All right? And we're going to break that down because, no, there is no damn such thing as evolution. That's retarded. All right? It's ridiculous that... Let's read about the theory of evolution. First of all, give me Genesis chapter 1. And we're going to read a little bit about so-called evolution. All right?
Genesis chapter 1.
What is going on here? Yeah, you're going to start at verse 1.
God, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Okay, so we're going all the way back to the beginning with this. He made these certain things in order, right? He said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay?
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.
Right.
And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
Now, question. Is darkness daytime? Is nighttime where the light's out? Where there's light? No, because he just clearly said, right? the darkness he called it night. The daytime he called it light. Right? Or the light he called day. Right?
Okay.
So he separated those two things. They're not the same thing. You understand?
Okay.
One didn't evolve from the other. Right? There was light, and then all of a sudden darkness just came from that. It evolved. How come we are not using these concepts with things like that, right? Because it's stupid. Doesn't that sound foolish? To say, oh yeah, darkness evolved from light. Okay, then why do we still have light around? Well, the scriptures clearly were right on that they're separate things, right?
Right.
Okay, so why are we stopping there when we see that that's a truth? Yeah, darkness and light are separate. They don't exist together. So that must be true. Let's keep reading. Because obviously this thing's going through some true stuff right here, right?
Right.
Let's not make all kinds of weird speculations and throw things in there that don't have to be. Y'all see that?
Okay.
Oh yeah, light evolved from darkness. How does that happen? I ain't never turned off all the lights in my house, and all of a sudden from the darkness arose this great light. Nah, you gotta turn the light on, and then when the light comes, the darkness goes away. Right? What's that?
That's the dividing.
Yeah.
That's when you divide the kind.
Yeah, they can't exist together. You'll see that?
Okay.
Okay, so right there we have a truth. So this would propel me to keep reading. Hey, I'm reading some true stuff here. So let's keep going.
Okay. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Okay.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters.
Let's make a firmament in the middle of the waters, in the middle of the elements that are just floating around out here in space, right? Let's make a firmament. So I'm going to make a firm thing in the middle of all these gases and elements, right? In the middle of these waters. Okay, all right, go ahead.
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Let it do what?
Divide the waters from the waters.
So, wait, the waters outside this firmament had to evolve to be like the waters inside the firmament, or he just divided them?
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Okay, so now let me go scientific on it. Does air that we're breathing right now evolve and change? Has it ever evolved and changed throughout all of our history into the cold, deep blackness of space that's beyond the firmament?
Nah. Nah.
Watch out. Am I losing anybody on this? It makes sense, right? Like, the air that we're breathing right now didn't evolve and change into some space gas or gamma rays or something like that. That hasn't happened, right? Okay, so, just on the basics, we're seeing that this evolution thing, why is it only restricted to when it comes down to human beings and animals? You see that? Why are they only saying that animals and things like that evolve? How come they haven't went and broke down and said, oh yeah, everything evolves. The air we're breathing evolves. Because it would make sense, right? It hasn't changed. We still breathe in oxygen, right? That's how you still live for millions of years. Or thousands, right? The recorded history goes back thousands. They're saying we've been around millions. Okay, either way, we're still breathing the same damn air. True? So the firmament, the gases, the elements, the waters, as the scriptures call them, they haven't evolved, right?
Got it.
Still got nitrogen, hydrogen, helium, oxygen, boron, all that stuff. All the periodic table of the elements. It hasn't evolved, right? In millions of years. Okay. Let's see what else hasn't evolved. Go ahead.
Verse 7.
Uh-huh.
And God made the firmament and divided the waters.
Okay, so the ozone layer, has it evolved into something else that's not ozone layer?
Nah.
You sure? Like, it didn't turn into a, giant jelly dome?
Nah.
And you can go out there and just get some toast, just smear it across the ozone layer, and ozone layer. So it hasn't evolved either, right?
Nah.
See, this is what the problem is with science, is they when you expand the line, it falls apart. The theory falls apart. Y'all see that? So I'm going to read a little bit about evolutionary theory. We're going to keep reading in Genesis 1, and y'all be able to see how ridiculous this is. All right, so evolutionary theory, just starting, basic understanding. You got Darwin. First of all, this is a British man, Esau. The one that the scriptures tell you in Job 13:24, they're forgers of lies and physicians of no value. And then when you go into Job 30 verse 1, he says, I wouldn't even trust these niggas that sleep with my dogs. All right, those guys. They came out with this theory called the theory of evolution. And the theory of evolution by natural selection, first formulated in Darwin's book On the Origin of Species in 1859, is the process by which organisms change over time as a result of changes in heritable, physical, or behavioral traits. Changes that allow an organism to better adapt to its environment will help it survive and have more offspring. So he immediately tries to cover himself by saying organisms only do this. Right? Organisms are the only thing that evolve. So now, you defeated me on that. I guess that limits it because why? Why does he have to say that organisms are the only ones that evolve? Because if I put it against anything else, people are going to be like, well, why hasn't that evolved? Why hasn't light evolved into super light? Right? How come the sun hasn't gotten super, super duper strong and intelligent and decided it's going to wipe out all of us on Earth and I'm going to be the greatest sun in the galaxy and go to other galaxies and try to wipe them out? Because they get laughed at like that. Right? So, okay, well, I'm gonna limit it to organisms do this. Wait a minute, you mean things change? Seriously? That's what you're going to base this on, to remove away all the hope from the Bible, is that things change? Yeah, things change. People change, right? You change your mind, you change your thoughts, you change your ways. Just because you change your thoughts, do you grow a third leg? Man, I would run a lot faster if I had 3 legs. Oh, thanks. Right? That don't happen, right? Okay, now, even if because we're going to read on, it's about this natural selection and Darwinism theory and all that. That they believe that that's how things work. Like you get it in your mind to do it, and then your kids come out and they have 3 legs. Has that happened?
Nah.
Right.
We would have been flying by now.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to fly before my kid was born. My kid didn't come out flying.
Right.
I found a necessity for it. Plane tickets cost too damn much. So according to Darwin's theory, me finding the necessity to fly, my kids should be able to fly.
Oh, you probably would have been flying because I'm pretty sure when somebody in your generation was like, I wanted to fly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody in my family didn't want diabetes, but I still got it, right?
Okay.
I'm sure somebody at some point was like, damn, I hate this thing. Why didn't I evolve into somebody that don't get diabetes? See, it falls apart when you weigh it against common sense. That's the problem. And we're going to go back to the scriptures with this, but check these things out, man. It says evolution by natural selection is one of the best substantiated theories. I know what a theory is, right? Have you ever really got the dictionary definition of a theory? Let's look at what a theory is. This is gonna blow your socks off.
Speculation.
What?
Speculation.
Let's go a little deeper.
A doctrine or scheme of things which terminates in speculation or contemplation without a view to practice.
It dies when you think about it. It's a statement that dies when you actually think about it. So when you actually think about evolution, it dies. When you actually sit there and contemplate, I wonder if bugs can turn into human beings over time. No, that don't happen. Y'all see that?
Okay.
That's what a theory is. You just said it, right? Read it again.
Okay. Theory. Speculation. A doctrine or scheme of things which terminates in speculation or contemplation.
See, it terminates when you're talking about it, or when it's challenged, it's dead. Or when you think about it, it dies. So this is an evolutionary theory, right?
Okay.
Meaning if you think about evolution, it's going to crumble apart just by you thinking about it. Why the hell are we teaching this in school? Why are we teaching something that if you just use common sense, it will crumble apart like dust? But I'm going to go back, because now we know what a theory is, right? How stupid that is. But it is one of the best substantiated theories. It says in the history of science, apparently. So that shows you what science is worth. That this evolutionary thing is a theory that crumbles apart when you think about it. And that's the greatest thing they have in the history of science. Supported by evidence from a wide variety of scientific disciplines, including paleontology, geology, genetics, and developmental biology. Okay. The theory has 2 main points, said Brian Richmond, curator of human origins at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. All life on Earth is connected and related to each other, and this diversity of life is a product of modifications of populations by natural selection, where some traits were favored in an environment over others. So, I'm swimming in the deep blue sea, I'm bright red. My enemies, my predators can find me. So I'm just going to change color to match my environment. Right?
Got it.
Now, you have fish that are created and they do that. They actually swim, and when they're in a certain environment, they change color.
Yeah.
Right?
Got it.
They take on the characteristics of the environment. But they were already pooped out that way. Right?
Got it.
Because if it, let's think about it. If it didn't work that way, if they weren't already created that way, okay, so their predator, the other big giant fish, is like, ooh, a big bright red fish. He eats it. Can that thing reproduce now? Why not?
It's been killed.
Because it's dead. It's whale food, shark food, right?
Got it.
There's no reproduction. So there is no, I better change color in a million years. My babies better change color when they get in this environment. No, they're dead. You understand?
Got it.
So that's done, right? When you actually think about evolution, it's dead, right?
Got it.
The natural selection and it got chosen over because of the way its environment went, that's dead, right?
Got it.
But let's go back to Genesis, man. Let's further examine this evolution, man.
Verse 7. Genesis chapter 1, verse 7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament.
Cool. Go ahead.
And it was so.
There it is. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven,
Uh-huh.
and the evening and the morning were the second day.
Right.
And God said,
Wait, whoa, hold on, man. The evening and the morning were still around. They didn't evolve into the firmament.
and the evening and the morning were the second day.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Go ahead.
And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place.
Okay, so the waters that were under the heaven, under that firmament, right? They got gathered together into one place. Go ahead.
And let the dry land appear.
Oh, okay. So he gathered all these elements together and called that dry land, right?
God.
Okay, go ahead.
And it was so.
That happened. Go ahead.
And God called the dry land earth.
Right.
And the gathering together of the waters called the seas.
Called he seas, right? So he called the water, all the big gathering of water, right? H2O, he called that the sea. Okay. So the land didn't evolve into the sea. Hold on. To this day, in recorded history, have you ever heard of the beach turning into the water?
The beach turning into
Yeah, like the sand and everything, it just was like, I want to be water today.
Oh, okay.
This water keeps beating against me, so when I'm in this harsh environment of water beating against me, I'll just turn into water. No, the beach is still there. The water's still there, right? Divided. The water isn't like, I'm tired of beating up against the rocks and the things. I'm just going to become a rock. Right? But according to evolution, that's how this stuff works. Oh, wait. No. Only organisms do that. Because if I think about it any other way, there's no such thing as evolution. Right? Let me know if I'm going too deep. Read on.
And God saw that it was good. Verse 11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed.
Okay. Does grass grow on the earth?
Got it.
Check. Got it. Okay, that's true. Go ahead.
And the fruit tree yielding fruit.
But y'all see how this is not theory? It doesn't crumble when you think about it. Hey, the Bible said grass grows on the earth. I wonder if that's true. Oh, there it is. Well, what do you know? That's not a theory. That's fact. Well, gee golly. Right? Go ahead.
And the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself.
Okay, so do fruits have seeds in them? I know, those of y'all that shop at Walmart don't get that, but, when you see fruit growing from a regular tree that hasn't been fumigated with Monsanto juice, you got seeds in the fruit, right? For those of us that still remember when fruit had seeds in it, you got seeds in the fruit, right? Okay, so that's fact. All these are biblical facts. These aren't theories now, right? These are historical and accurate facts. They're even current facts. That fruit has seeds in it. It grows on trees. Light and darkness are different, right? We still to this day call the light day and the darkness night. So that's true. I ain't read no theories yet. Have you? But if I go to science, I'm going to get all kinds of theories that crumble, they terminate upon speculation or contemplation. Go ahead.
Upon the earth, and it was so. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind.
Okay.
And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind.
Okay.
And God saw that it was good.
Now these are organisms. Now we're getting into organisms.
And the evening
I gotta go to the fish tree. Anybody picked any fish off the fish tree yet? It said organisms do this, right?
Right.
Okay. Has anybody picked any fish out of seaweed? You know, because it's in the water, right? The seaweed's in the water. Right? So naturally it should adapt to its environment and be able to escape animals that come and eat seaweed. It's an organism. Right? So has the seaweed grown gills and fins and a dorsal fin so it can swim away really fast from the fish that are trying to eat it? That hasn't happened yet. And there's no fish trees. So now we got into organisms and it still didn't work. Right? But the Bible's still true. The fruit is still growing on trees. Right? It's not growing out of fish. Right? Whales aren't spitting up. Brought your apples. That's not happening, right? So there's a clear difference right there. We're reading facts in the Bible. We're reading theory in science. Right? Okay, what else?
Verse 13. Genesis chapter 1, verse 13. And the evening and the morning were the third day.
Right.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night.
Awesome. Let's do it. Go ahead.
And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days.
All right. So there's stars and stuff up there in the heavens, right, y'all? Have y'all witnessed that?
God.
So this isn't just something I heard my cousin told my mailman, told my sister, told me. This is fact, right? There's stars and stuff up there in the sky, right? Okay, all right, so these are not theories. This is true. Go ahead.
And years. Verse 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
Sounds good.
And it was so.
All right.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
Nice. Okay. What else?
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
But they were like, we're tired of flying. We're going to evolve and walk on the earth.
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
And guess what? They still do that. Right?
God.
Ecclesiastes chapter 43. They stay in their watches. They won't faint. They haven't done it for millions of years. Right? Because millions of years there was people around gauging that, and then they told their generations after them, and they told them, and they told them. And I heard it from my grandpa, who's millions of years old. I'm making fun of it because they say these things as if they were there millions of years ago, right? And then we look at them and we be like, yeah, Esau's, they're telling the truth. Because millions of years ago that happened. What the hell are you talking about? I can't use that in court. Well, I killed him because millions of years ago, man, his amoeba bashed into my amoeba, man. It was just self-defense from there. Who can refute me? It happened millions of years ago. Why can't I say that? Right? Why can't I do that? His amoeba killed my mama amoeba, and it's on. Self-defense. Why can't I do that? Because it doesn't stand up when you think about it. It's a theory. Y'all see that? All this stuff that science comes up with, their so-called science is theory. But read on.
Verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night.
Can we all agree that so far everything we just read in Genesis chapter 1 is fact? Nothing has changed, right?
It's fact.
So, at least the first page, we're good, man. First page of the Bible, that's nothing but facts. First page of your science book, theory, hypothesis, question, guess, speculation. Yep. Which one am I going with? The fairy tale or the reality? If I look up, everything's verifiable. There's still stars, still sun, still moon, still this, right? Okay, well, let's get past that point then. Let's go on. Since y'all get that, right? Because this evolution thing got our people real messed up, man. They really think they know something when they know nothing. Go to 1 Corinthians 15:39, because the theory of evolution says that organisms do this, right? The organisms are the only thing that evolves. So, we can't use that the stars didn't evolve, the sun didn't evolve, the moon didn't evolve. Those aren't organisms, according to science, right? But then we also talked about, well, do the trees evolve? Has the tree, don't they have a timber line for thousands or millions of years, right? They have a timber line where the trees don't grow past a certain point, right? Okay, well, that's been happening for thousands of years. I haven't seen one tree be like, I'm gonna be the tallest redwood. And it just, one tree sprouts out taller than all the other redwoods that ever existed. Why? There's a timber line. They know we don't grow this far into the sky. Why? Because it was written in them by a creator. Y'all see that? Why did they evolve? I mean, the air is dirty down here at our level, right? At tree line level, it's dirty and polluted and filthy. How come the trees haven't evolved to reach thousands of feet into the sky to get that good oxygen? And that good, the good carbon dioxide that they eat and all that, right? Why hasn't that happened? Those are organisms. They should have evolved, right? I should have a pizza tree by now. This stuff should be happening, according to evolution, right? Because the tree should have been like, oh, why ain't they coming over to pick me and smell me? I better grow some damn pizza. Right? The tree should have changed up. Okay, well, they cut me down because I don't grow fruit, so let me start growing some damn fruit. Let me grow some cedar fruit. Why the cedar trees ain't evolved? Why are we still cutting them down, using them for boats and buildings and timber, lumber? Why haven't they evolved in order to survive and grow fruit so that we don't cut them down? Anybody? Yeah, because it's a theory. Because it's bullshit, right? We already know what grown-ups say when they hear some stupidity like that. You understand? But let's see. Read 1 Corinthians.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 39.
Yeah, let's get into organisms. We're going to start there.
1 Corinthians 15 and 39. Mm-hmm. All flesh is not the same flesh.
Let's deal with human beings, man. Because that's clearly what Darwin was talking about when we was talking about evolution. We came from one-celled organisms floating around in the ocean, right? One amoeba was like, you know what? I don't like this half of my body. I'm going to split up from that half of my body. It became two amoebas, right? One amoeba is a one-celled organism, according to science, all right? A little cell. And it just decided, I'm going to break off and become two cells. And then those cells decided they was going to break off individually and do the same thing. But then they all decided they was going to group back together after breaking up and turn into tissues and organs. Those tissues grouped together, they became organs. And one was just like a little heart floating around in the water. Right? Like Flipper. Right? And then the heart was like, you know what? Things keep trying to eat me because I'm just beating like this. So I need to encase myself into a body of some type. Let's try this fish thing out. So it became a fish. You see how stupid this story sounds right now? Like, would you keep listening if I kept talking? Like, if I was telling you this story, you would think you're like a 5-year-old. Or are you just saying whatever comes into your head? Right? Like, if I was like, hey, mom, one day, this little thing broke off and became two things, and then it broke off, and then it all came together and became this thing, and then it decided it was just floating around in the ocean, and it was going to become a fish. Yeah, go to your room. But no, I put a PhD after my name, so I get to still keep talking. And you have to listen through a 3-4 hour lecture. And if you don't get what I say right on the test, you fail in education. That's insane, man. But I'll keep going. So the fish right, decides, I don't like this water where I get to freely swim through all the oceans and seas anymore. I want to know what's going on up there. I'm the little mermaid fish. I want to go somewhere above the waters. I don't want to be in the water no more, right? So he does his little mermaid song and decides, I'm going to get up there. So he turns into a little mud skipper. If you don't know what a mud skipper is, it's a little lizard that has gills kind of thing. It's all slimy. And it has arms and legs, but it has gills, so it can go from water to the land, right? Okay, so the fish turned into that, right? But the mud skipper looks back and holy crap, there's still more fish in the sea. They don't understand how good it is up here. What the hell are they doing? Them niggas off. I'm gonna stay on the land. I'm gonna turn into a giant dinosaur. That's how that worked. It doesn't seem like it works out, right? Because this is a theory. This is what happens with theory. It's something that upon speculation or contemplation terminates. Right? So as I think about it or I talk about it, it's like when you're mad, right? And you mad at somebody over something stupid, but you didn't really realize it was something stupid until you went and told somebody else why you was mad at them. Right? Well, why you hate them? Why you want to fight them? Cause that nigga, he did. You know what? Never mind. If I tell you, it ain't. You ain't even gonna understand. No, I'm gonna say it's stupid. You know that. And you want to fight them over that? Really? Y'all see that? And that's the same thing that a theory is. But nobody shut these idiots up. Nobody stood up and said, dude, Darwin, sit down. Go back to school. Here's a Bible. Go read that. Nobody, they let them keep talking because they were British. British people sound cool. So they let them keep talking. You understand? But here's the problem. When it falls down against common sense. Watch, read.
All flesh is not the same flesh.
The Bible says all flesh is not the same flesh. You did not come from a monkey. You did not come from a fish. All right? Read.
But there is one kind of flesh of men.
There's a type of flesh of men, right? Go ahead.
Another flesh of beasts.
And another flesh of beasts. Read on.
Another of fishes.
Uh-huh.
And another of birds.
Right? That's why there ain't no bird fish. Right? You're like, ooh, this turkey tastes like fish. Oh my God. It's delicious. Has it happened, right? When you go to the grocery store, you don't be like, they sent me here for fish, man, but you know, I'll just get the chicken. It's all the same. Why do you get the one thing above the other? Because they're not the same flesh, right? They taste different. They have a different consistency. So now we're reading another thing in the Bible that happens to be true. Oh my God. Look at this. Every time I read the Bible, the stuff is true. It's facts. But every page I flip to in my science book, it doesn't make any damn sense. That's why they have to teach you that. With the Bible, you read it, and then you look around and, oh, there it is. Y'all see that? Let's read on.
There are also celestial bodies.
Well, there's stars, there's moons, there's planets. There are, well, we'll see. But there's constellations, there's a sun, right? So there are celestial bodies. Go ahead.
And bodies terrestrial.
And there's earthly bodies that walk around on the earth. Because you got these cats that, oh, we're made out of the same stuff as the stars. But you're not up there. How come in the millions of years, your same star stuff hasn't been jammed up into the firmament? Oh, because if you go up there, you'll freeze to death. Well, but you're made out of the same things. Right? You are, but you're made out of the different, you're made out of a different level of those things, right? Yeah, you're made out of carbon. You're a carbon-based life form. Okay, right? So the dirt's carbon, right? But there's a different concentration of carbon in the dirt than there is in you, right?
Right.
This is just obvious. That's why everybody's doing like, yeah, common sense. How come when I go to science, I can't get the same reaction? How come if I explain science stuff to you, I wouldn't get the same reaction? Think about it. Like, how come you wouldn't just get, yeah, that makes sense when you're in science?
It don't make sense.
Yeah, like, yeah, we're all made out of quarks. What's a quark? Well, a quark is it's a subatomic thing. Can I see it? No. Can I touch it? No. Can I taste it? No. Did you make that crap up? No.
It's a hypothesis.
We put a big $5 word on it, and I'll explain why I told you this BS. It's a hypothesis.
It's my theory.
Okay, so I'll believe it, of course. I'll humor you. Tell me more about these quarks. What does a quark do? Can I eat it? No, you can't eat it. Is it necessary to my survival? Yeah. How? We don't know yet. Okay, well, let me flip this situation to you. Hamburger. You can eat it, right?
God.
Okay. Does it help you survive?
God.
Okay, if you're starving to death and you eat a hamburger, you're not going to die of starvation, right? Okay. Where the hell did you get quarks from? What made you go into quarks? What made you go into things that are not necessary to our survival? What made you bring that up? I'm a scientist. It's what we do. Really? Yeah, scientists, we study things that are there or not there, and then we make hypotheses based on things that are there or not there, and then we make theories based on those same hypotheses of things that are there or not there. And you're mad at me because I read the Bible and I believe that? Well, you can't see God. Where's your quarks at? Well, you can't call on God right now. Call a quark. You bring me a quark and I'll believe in quarks. Tell a quark to take me home tonight and I'll believe in quarks. Hasn't happened. Right? This is what happens with science, man. It falls apart upon speculation or contemplation. Read on.
But the glory of the celestial is one.
Okay, so the Bible's telling you things that make sense. The glory of the celestial is one thing, and
the glory of the terrestrial is another.
And the things on earth, they're a whole different thing. Well, that sounds like that makes perfect sense, right?
Correct.
I looked up into my telescope and seen a fish just across the stars. Right? So obviously there's things that are terrestrial, they belong to the earth, and there's things that are celestial, they belong in the sky. That's true. Alright? Now the scripture's also showing you that they're two different things. One didn't evolve from the other. Y'all see that? So we gotta look at things like this and see, why did Esau come up with this crap? Alright? And we're gonna go to the next scripture. Was that it on there?
It was verse 41.
Yeah, read that.
Verse 41. There was one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon.
Over there, okay.
And another glory of the stars.
And there's stars all around those, okay.
For one star differeth from another star in glory.
And even the stars are different. That's all true. And for billions of years, because remember scientists, they can see billions of years, light years away, right? None of them stars have become moons, suns, planets, none of that. Right? Okay, I'm looking into a telescope. And when I'm looking at a telescope at this really far star, I'm looking at light that happened 1 million years ago, and it barely got to me now. Granted. Okay. Now, how come my ancestor way back then was drawing the same constellation on the damn cave wall or on the temple wall or wherever the hell he was as I'm looking at right now? Shouldn't over millions of years I'd be looking at a damn newly formed planet or the ultra fish that flies across the galaxy?
God.
That's science. That's what science would tell me I should be looking at, right?
God.
But I don't see it. Well, that only works with organisms. Gotcha. All right, so go to 1 Timothy 6, verse 20. Let's see why we don't depend on these things. Why we do the scriptures instead of this science, man? They're science, because we had science. All right, when you read Daniel chapter 1, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they were scientists. We did that. Abraham was a scientist. All right, we had that, but it was real science. It was based on not theories. It wasn't based on hypothesis. It was based on dealing with the things that are and the things that can affect your life. Solomon was a scientist. Did y'all know that? Yeah, he said by the wisdom I learned the elements. Right? That's what scientists do. He knew the elements, but he knew how to use them. Y'all see that? When he learned about a quark, it wasn't just so he could say quark. Because it sounded cool. Right? He learned how to use them. Built the temple. Just kept 40 years of peace. He learned how to use those things. But let's see. Read that.
1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20.
Uh-huh.
Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings.
Right. You keep the things that are committed to your trust, man. The things you can actually depend on that are true. Keep the Bible. It's true. And avoid foolish and profane babblings. Vain babblings. Y'all see that?
Okay.
Evolution is a vain babbling, man. Read on.
And oppositions of science, falsely so called.
And people try to oppose the Bible with their so-called science, which ain't really science. Like, you dwelling in things that don't even exist, bro. Telling me not to have faith in something that you can't see. You mad because I tell you faith is believing in something I can't see. Well, that's true, right? Isn't faith believing in things you can't see? So when the Bible said that, that's what that is. It's true. When you said you believe in antimatter, what the hell does antimatter mean? Wait, it's something that's against things that have weight and volume to them? Well, what's that? It sounds like a vacuum. Why didn't you just call it a vacuum? Because those are different. Okay. But you believe in these things. You believe that light travels at this certain speed, but you've never run that fast. You've never been in a vehicle that traveled fast enough to gauge light. Right? So you're having what? What are all these scientists having? What do they have that we have? Faith, right? But it just ain't in the Most High. Who is it? Who's their faith in?
Themselves.
There you go. It's in themselves, man. And that's why when you go to this this scientific theory, when you go into these theories that they have, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna skip over to what this guy said about natural selection. Let's go there. There it is. This is Lawrence Krauss. Is this the one I want to read? Let me see. These aren't. Yeah, no, I have. Where is the guy at? Hey man, I just had this quote, man. These guys are so-called scientists and everything. Wow. No, where's this guy at? Man, it was. I hate the stupid internet. Santorum, there it goes. Right, so this guy, Santorum, he said the question that we're facing. No, this isn't it. That's Minnick. Okay, in an August interview with National Public Radio, Republican Senator and intelligent design supporter Rick Santorum stated exactly what he believed those implications were for evolution. Asked why he, a politician, felt compelled to weigh in on what was essentially a scientific debate, Santorum replied, "It has huge consequences for society. It's where we come from. Does man have a purpose? Is there a purpose for our lives? Or are we just simply the result of chance? If we are the result of chance, if we're simply a mistake of nature, then that puts a different moral demand on us. In fact, it doesn't put a moral demand on us." Y'all see that? So what he's showing you is like, listen, if we start believing in this stupid evolution stuff, then we're saying that we all just popped out in here by chance. And that means since you're a carbon-based life form and you go around in the galaxy, then when I bash your brains open, you just go back to the galaxy. So there, I shouldn't be going to jail for murder. That's the logical thinking that's going to happen from this. You understand? Because nobody's going to have a moral compass anymore because they just believe you're stardust and I'm stardust. Y'all see that? You're just an amoeba that happened to be smart enough to turn into a walking, talking human being one day, and so am I. So we're not. There's nothing above us. We're just us. It takes away all the hope that there's Yahweh, that there's a Yahweh Shai. It takes away all that hope that there's a life after this hell that we're in right now. Y'all see that? And that's what this senator is even talking about, man. He's saying, of course, basically saying, of course I got to get involved in this. Of course I got to stand against this being taught in school, man. Because that takes away a person's hope. It makes you turn into that guy that's like, we're all just dust, float. We're all just specks, man. We just float around through space, traveling at 1 billion miles an hour, man. Then you're that guy. And y'all laughing just when I started talking like that. There's niggas that talk like this. I've been around them. It makes you dumber when you hang around them. You have to talk slower. You have to listen slower. You have to just literally have all the patience of a Zen guru to hear them talk. Because everything starts and ends with the word man, for one. So you think they're going to say something profound. Because when you hear somebody be like, man, right? You're like, oh, I better listen to this, right? Man, Cheetos are good. Why did I listen to that? I know Cheetos are good. Leave me alone. Right? You be around these pothead dummies and, man. Okay, what? You just had an epiphany. What's going to happen? We're all just specks, man. On this big traveling ball, man. What? Why did you make me listen to that? Why was I intrigued by that? Y'all see that? But, if I stop talking like this and put a PhD after my name, now it's relevant? Come on, man. We got to understand this Bible. That stuff they talk about is science so falsely called. All right? And there's a lot more to it, but I know it's getting late. I thought I was going to be able to cram it all into that last 40 minutes, but that didn't happen. So, if we can, we'll go over evolution again. Because it's really that simple, man. It's really that simple that this is a false science. The Bible shows you there's one flesh of beast, there's one flesh of man. None of those things have changed over the so-called millions of years they've been around. All right? From the book of Genesis to now, none of that stuff has evolved. True? All right. They still grabbed Jesus and hung him on a tree. He didn't grow from a tree. Right? He wasn't just dangling there like, hey, our Lord and Savior, you finally ripe. Right? Okay, so this evolution is BS, man. Give me Jeremiah 16:19, then we'll close class, man. I know.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19.
Huh?
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19.
We're at hump day, so everybody's kind of slowing down now. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies.
See, after all this, you believing in Darwin, the British guy, and this other French guy, and this other German guy, and all this stuff. All these guys are going to come, and they're going to say, our fathers have inherited lies, man. Y'all see that?
God.
They've inherited vanity. And what else?
And things wherein there is no profit.
And things wherein there is no profit. What is the profit in teaching that niggas came from monkeys?
Absolutely
none. None. All it does is justify why white people don't have lips. Why some of them got to get tails snipped off. That don't justify our existence. You understand?
God.
It doesn't justify your life. It's not relevant to your life with the things you go into in science. This science, right, what they call science. Chemistry, do it. Chemistry's awesome. You'll learn about the elements like Solomon, right? Chemistry deals with things that are there that you can actually work with and turn into other things, right? Psst, go into chemistry. But going into theoretical science, you might as well put a gun in your mouth. You're the most useless human being to ever live. Your whole career is based off of fictional character. Your whole life is based off of things you make up. Yeah, I wonder if, let's make a theory out of it. Put it in a book, make people read it. What? That's your life. Theoretical science. Keep engineering. Beautiful science. Keep chemistry. Beautiful science. Right? Please throw away theoretical science. Bunch of niggas get paid to make up a bunch of questions that they can't answer. And what does that do? What is that? When you propose a question that you can't answer and other people can't answer, what are you basically doing?
Causing confusion.
Causing confusion. You cause doubt, chaos. Y'all see that?
God.
When you postulate something like we just happened at a random chance, amoeba just happened to decide to replicate and turn into a human being after it was a whale for 1 million years and all this. When you start doing that, then people start questioning, what do they exist for? What's my purpose? Y'all see that?
God.
This senator gets it, but, apparently the rest of the earth hasn't got it yet. These niggas that's called themselves scientists need to be hung up and shot, man. They need to be literally hung by their necks and then shot in the face. Because that's all they do, man. You got niggas running around now acting like they're intelligent based off of theories. Well, you're believing that Bible, that's garbage. I believe in science. I can use a bunch of $5 words and sound smarter than you. Okay, but none of your stuff makes sense. Y'all see that?
God.
None of it holds up when we think about it. That's why you called it a theory. That's why your definition held that it's a theory. When I think about it, when I talk about it, it doesn't hold up. It dies. For those of y'all that joined us, hopefully we'll be able to approach this subject a little more at length and everything. But we got to cut it short tonight. But we thank you for joining us. Come see us again Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. And again, thank you for joining us. ISB HBK signing off. Blah, blah, blah. Shalom.